Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So this is going to be a new playlist in which we are going to be discussing about Redis. So let's get started. Here is a documentation of Redis. So most of the time we are going to refer to the documentation of Redis. I don't really like to memorize anything, so I also want to give you the reference from where I have read all the contents. So Redis documentation is a good place to see all the documentation, official documentation. Okay, so what is Redis? Redis is an open source in-memory data structure store. It is used as a database, it is used as a cache, it is used as a message broker, it is used as a streaming engine. So there are so many applications of Redis. Okay, you can use it in lot many ways. Especially people are using it when they want to create some kind of caching for their application. That's a good use case for Redis. And basically for anything where you want to keep the data in memory, and Redis is one of the best databases, or I will say the best database which I have seen. So now let's go on and start doing some hands-on with Redis. Again, if you want to continue reading, you can go on and read the features and all, but since this playlist is going to be more like to making you more of a job ready, okay, it's not for a student where we are going to learn a lot of theoretical stuff. We are going to learn about some practical stuff here. We are going to see how actually Redis is being used in a job environment, or in production environment. So that's why we are going to do more hands-on, and for any kind of documentation purpose you can always refer to Redis documentation. Okay, now I think having said that, there are a couple of things which I would like to tell here. So let me just go to here. I think one thing is Redis, even though it is an open source, but Redis do also have Redis Enterprise. So if you want, let's say, support of Redis, you can get in touch with Redis Enterprise. Okay, so that is where you will get the support for the product. Again, if you want to get to know more information about Redis, you can go through some of the sponsor information or Redis Enterprise information. This is where you will get to know all the information about Redis, especially if you are looking for 24/7 support. Okay, especially some of the organizations who are running Redis in production environment, they don't want to run any product without any OEM support. So Redis Enterprise is the solution for that. Okay, so now I have a Linux server. So this is a server where I am. So let me just run who am I. I'm running it. I'm logged in as a root user, and this is my current working directory. And okay, let me show you the host name. Okay, so this is the host name. It is just called localhost. So this is the server information. It is just a server which I'm running on Oracle VirtualBox Manager. Okay, so you can run the server either on Oracle Virtual Manager for your practice, or maybe if you want, you can if you already have access to any of the server, you can continue installing Redis on that. So now in order to install, again, I got very good documentation here on DigitalOcean. We can follow this documentation. Installation is pretty straightforward. First of all, we have to, if you are on CentOS like me, let me just also show you the release version. So here you can see I'm on CentOS Linux release 7.9. Okay, so if you are on CentOS, then first of all you have to install EPL release, which is like extra package for enterprise Linux, because some of the packages are not already available in Yum package manager. So you have to install these additional packages, especially if you want to install Redis. So you are going to copy this and going to run it here on the server. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and run it. Now I do have already done it. Okay, I have already installed it. So but still I just want to show it to you. Here you can see, since I have already done it, everything is already updated. There's nothing much to do. Okay, so, but when you are running it, you will see that there are installation which is taking place. Okay, so this is only about installing package. And then we need to install Redis services. So for that one, we can again copy this command, sudo yum install redis -y. You can paste it here. Just copy it, nothing to do. I just need to copy it here, need to paste it, and run it. Okay, so once you run it again, you can see since this software is already installed on this server, so it's just saying nothing to do, but in your case the installation will take place. So once the installation is done, you can start the services by running this command. Here you can see I'm just going to paste it here, and you can see it is saying service is basically already started. Okay, and we don't really see any status here, but if you want to see the status of the service, you can just change the start to status, and here you can see that Redis is already running. It is in the active state. If you want to stop Redis services, you can again change this command from status to stop, and then we can see the status again, and this time you can see it is showing that it is basically inactive. Okay, here you can see. Now I'm just going to start it again. And one more important configuration which you would like to do is let's say if, when you reboot the server, or let's say when this server gets rebooted for any reason, maybe it is a graceful restart of the server, or maybe you have some planned activity, and as part of that you need to restart this server. So in that case, do you want Redis to come back up automatically? If you want Redis to come back up automatically, in that case you can enable the boot time start. Okay, so in that case you can copy this command sudo systemctl enable Redis, and you can run it here. Okay, so now whenever I restart Redis, or not Redis, whenever I restart this server, in that case Redis is going to start automatically. Okay, so that's the benefit of this. That's all. I think we are pretty much done. We are ready with Redis. So now let me clear the screen, and in order to connect to Redis, we are going to use Redis CLI. Okay, so command for that is Redis CLI. Hit enter, and now you can see once we do Redis-CLI, our prompt has changed. It is showing 127.0.0.1, which is localhost, and 6379 is the default port on which we connect to Redis. Okay, so basically we are connected to Redis server on the local server on the same machine basically, and is running, the service is listening on port 6379. Okay, now I'm just going to exit from here, and I want to show you the configuration file. So when you install Redis, there is configuration file which is available under /etc/redis.conf. So I'm going to open up this file, and there are some settings which I want to show you. So here I'm going to first of all, I'm just going to search for password. Okay, so here I'm going to enable authorization. Okay, so just give me a moment. I'm looking for that information. Where is auth? Okay, yeah, I think it's called require pass. Okay, so this is the line. Now by default you will see this statement. Okay, it is started with hash symbol. So whichever statement is started with hash, it is commented out. So if you want to make this into or basically if whatever is hashed, it is not really taking effect. It is only for like a comment. It is only for the documentation purpose. So now in case we want to enable password authentication for Redis, in that case we can either you can remove this hash, or you can just go to the new line and type require pass, and you can type the password which you want to use in order to log into Redis. So in this case my password is just password, but yeah, you should be keeping some complex password. And that's all. Now we can save it. Sorry, we can save it, exit. Now we are going to connect to Redis CLI again. Now let's say we want to run, or we want to write some data to Redis database. Now this video probably we are not going to discuss in detail about Redis data structure or Redis data types, but I still want to let you know, if you want to store some data, okay, we can commonly use a set command. So the syntax is like set, and then we need to provide key value pair. Okay, so let's say I want to store a name, and I want to store the name which is called John. Okay, now here you see, if I wrote set name John, it is giving me the error saying no authentication. Okay, authentication is required. So now we cannot interact with Redis because we have enabled authentication, and with now we will need to authenticate ourselves in order to perform any operation with Redis database. So what we need to do is we need to write auth, and then we need to provide the password which we set up in the configuration file. So our password is called password, so it says OK, which means now we have been authenticated. Now we are going to run the same command which we ran previously, which is we are setting up a key, and the value of that is called John. So here you can see we got the response OK, which means the operation has been performed successfully. Now we are going to get the value back, and we are going to see what we get. Okay, so I'm writing that I want to get which keys value which I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm looking for the value of the key name, which is called name. Okay, so hit enter, and here you can see we are getting the output of John. Okay, so this is what we set up. So it means we were able to write successfully to Redis, and we also read data from Redis. So this is like, you know, once you install, this is something which you can do to make sure Redis is working. Now if you want to remove or you want to delete all the data which is available in Redis, you can commonly use flush all command, hit enter. Now what has happened is whatever data which was stored in Redis, it has been removed, it has been flushed out. Okay, so you can see this command is, you know, pretty dangerous, and you shouldn't really allow users to be able to run this command. So again, if you want to, you know, ideally in order to prevent someone from running this command, what you can do is you can go to this configuration file of redis.conf, and you can rename this command. Okay, you can rename this command to blank string. We are going to see that in future, but I still just wanted to let you know that if you run flush all, it is going to remove all the data. So let's say if I do get name, now you can see it is giving me nil. Okay, previously before we ran flush all command, we were getting the output, but now we just get nil because there is nothing there in Redis at the moment. We flushed everything. Okay, now let's move on and see a couple of things here. Let's go to getting started documentation here, and now let's say once you install Redis, you just want to see whether Redis is up and running. In that case, we can use ping command. Okay, so I'm going to exit from here because currently we are inside Redis CLI prompt. So I just exit, and now I'm onto the server. So let's clear the screen, and we can do Redis CLI ping. Now you can see since we have enabled authentication, so we are not getting the response. So we also have to pass -a and the password which we put there in the configuration file. Okay, so now hit enter. Okay, now one thing you need to make sure is that first you need to authenticate, and then you can run any command. So in this case, you can see we are giving Redis CLI, then we are authenticating ourselves, and then we are running ping command, and in return we got pong, which means we are successfully able to interact with Redis server, and Redis server services are working fine. So that's how you can make sure things are working fine. Now let me just remove required password for the sake of simplicity, because each time while we are learning, it is just going to give us errors, and each time we have to provide the authentication. So I'm just going to remove it for the time being, and so I'm just going to disable it, save it, and now we can restart Redis services. So So command for that is systemctl restart redis.service, and then we can see the status. Redis is running. Now we can do Redis CLI, or let's clear the screen first. Let's do Redis CLI ping, and we got the response without Redis asking us for the authorization, so which seems everything is okay. Now let's go on and go further, deep dive into the documentation. Okay, so here it is talking about setting or writing some value to Redis. So this one we have already tested, and securing Redis also I have already shown you how you can secure Redis. One more thing which you can do is other than enabling authentication, the other thing which you can do is if you go to the Redis conf file, now here you can see bind. Let's search for bind. Okay, so here you can see the configuration. Okay, basically what it means is from which server this connection will be allowed to Redis server. Okay, so let's say if you want you don't want connections to be allowed on Redis server from any random IP addresses, or in another scenario, if you know that okay, you are always going to connect to Redis server from only application server, in that case you can bind the port of application server. So in that case all the connection which is coming from that application server is going to be connected to Redis server, but if any request is coming from any any other XYZ server, in that case Redis is not going to allow those requests to be connecting to Redis server. Okay, so I'm just going to exit from here. This is how again you can secure Redis. I think for beginning video this is enough. Now in our upcoming tutorial we are going to be learning more about Redis. So I'm just going to keep our first video short. This was more of an introductory lesson in which we installed Redis and we saw how we can connect to Redis. Also we saw how we can write data to Redis, how we can read data from Redis. So that's all in this video. Stay tuned for next video, and if you have any request or if you want to understand any topic in more detail, do let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. See you again. Hey, hi everyone, this is going to be lesson number 2 of Redis playlist. So in this playlist I'm going to talk about how the data is basically stored in Redis. So as I told you in previous lesson that Redis is an in-memory database, so it's gonna keep everything in memory, and that is how it makes things really fast to read or write. However, if we keep data only in memory, then in that case we are going to lose the data. Okay, once let's say if the server is rebooted, or let's say Redis services crashes, and if we restart Redis, we are going to lose the data because we are not really storing the data on disk. So if the data is not on disk, whatever is there in memory, it gets deleted or it gets removed, or because it is volatile, right? That's what you have already read in your computer science notebooks. So now to prove that point, I'm going to show you, I'm going to keep some data in Redis. We are going to write some data in Redis, and then we are going to restart a Redis database, and then we are going to see what is the situation of that data. Okay, so let's connect to Redis by writing Redis CLI. Now you can see we are connected to Redis, and then in order to see all the keys which is stored in Redis, we can use keys. Okay, so currently you can see we don't have any keys here. So I'm going to write a key value, and I'm going to call it I'm going to call the key name as username, and I'm going to call value as my name. Okay, so I'm just going to put my name. So now if we want to see the value of this key, which is username, we can just use get and the key name. So key name is username, and here you can see we have got the value. Now if we want to write multiple key name, we can do that as well. So I'm just going to write user1 name and going to set the value to John, and if we want to see user1 value, we can see the value of this key as well. Okay, if we want to see total keys which is there in Redis at this point of time, we can again do keys star. So here you can see we are getting all the keys. So currently we have stored 2 keys and we can see both the keys. Now everything looks okay because we have wrote the data to Redis, and also we are able to read the data from Redis. Now at this point of time, let's say Redis crashes, Redis services crashes, or let's say someone gracefully restarts Redis services, and then we are going to see what is going to happen. So I'm going to write systemctl restart Redis service. So we are restarting Redis service, and then I'm going to log into Redis CLI again, and we are going to do keys space star. Okay, so here you can see when Redis service has been restarted, we do not have any data. So whatever data was there, it is gone, because the data was there in memory and it was not really being saved anywhere on the disk. So that's the reason when we restarted Redis services, everything is gone. Okay, so that's the reason I'm explaining this lesson first, because when you are installing Redis and you start going ahead with your application, this is a fundamental concept which you need to understand, that your data must be made persistent if that is what you are expecting from Redis. Okay, in some scenarios you don't really want to your data to be persisted, so that is fine. In that case you can continue to use Redis as it is. But if you want to make Redis data persistence, we must learn about Redis persistence. So in order to make Redis database persistence, there are 3 options. So one is called Redis RDB. Okay, so RDB is just Redis database. So if we enable RDB backups, in that case, whatever data which we write is going to be saved to an RDB file after certain seconds or certain interval, we can say. Okay, so that interval can be defined by us. So we can define this in a configuration file. Again, whatever configuration which we write, it is always going to be in the configuration file. So let me exit from here by writing exit command. Let's also clear the screen, and the configuration file is stored under etcredis.conf. So we are going at this location, and I'm going to search for save keyword, and here you can see it says save the database on disk. So in order to enable saving the database on disk, we can see there are this is what we need to do. We need to write save, and then we need to provide some value. So let's understand what these values are. So I'm just going to go here. So here you can see the syntax of enabling this configuration is something like this. So we are going to give this value save 60 and 1000. So what it means is this configuration will make Redis automatically dump the dataset to disk every 60 seconds if at least 1000 keys have changed. Okay, so in this case, let's say if we set this number, in that case, let's say if we insert 1000 keys, or let's say if we update 1000 keys, okay, in that case Redis is going to take a snapshot and going to save it. Okay, and which location that snapshot is going to be saved, we can see that as well. So let me do one thing. Let me enable this snapshot. Okay, and let's change it to 60. Just going to make it 60 and 1. I'm just going to keep it at 1, because if there is any changes made, even let's say if I insert 1 key, I want the data to be saved after every 60 seconds. Or if you want, you can also change it to, let's say we want to change it to 5 seconds, we can keep it 5 seconds. Okay, so let's keep it 5 seconds. And you can see we can also give multiple configuration as well. So let's say either you want data to be saved on this condition, or you want data to be saved on this condition or this condition. So you can enable all the 3 configuration. So I can open all of these, or if I want to give any other configuration, I can keep on adding them as well. So eventually what we are doing here is, if we have more number of keys inserted, then we want the data to be stored faster. Okay, so let's say if I insert only 10 keys, I want data to be saved every 300 seconds. But let's say if I update 10,000 keys, I want data to be saved at every 60 seconds. Now let's say if I am adding 1,000,000 records, I don't want to lose all those million records, right? I don't want to lose all those million keys So in that case, I might want to take the backup every 5 seconds. Okay, so in that case, I can enable by writing save 5, and here we can write 1 million. So that is how it is going to look like. Now, just for the purpose of demonstration, we have written save 5.1. So I'm just going to comment all the other configuration item. Okay, so this is how we enable RDB backups. Now, one thing is where this RDB file is going to get stored. So if you scroll down, you can see, you can move to this section, and you can see there is a property called db file name, and here you can see the value is dump.rdb. So this is the file name which is going to get created, and at which location this file is going to created is defined by directory. Okay, so in the under dir you can see we have value where lib redis. So now under where lib redis directory, we can see we are going to get dump.rdb directory. Okay, so I'm going to save it, and now we are going to go to where lib redis, because this is the location which was mentioned there in redis.configuration. This is where we want our RDB file to be backed up. We can do ls-lrt. Currently we can see we do not have anything here. Okay, so we also need to make sure whenever we make changes in Redis configuration file, we will need to restart Redis database. So I'm going to restart Redis database by writing systemctl restart redis.service, and now let's do ls-lrt again. Okay, you can see currently there is no backup file has been created here, but let's connect to Redis CLI, and what we are going to do is let's write some data. We are going to say user1, and user1 I'm just gonna give John. Let's do user2, I'm gonna put my name. Let's go and write user3, I'm gonna give some other name. Okay, let's put Steven, and let's exit from here. Let's do ls-lrt. Now you can see we have dump.rdb. Okay, and I think every 5 seconds it's basically going to create a snapshot, and now this snapshot has the data. Okay, so let's say now I'm just going to restart Redis database again, and then we will see whether our data is persisted or not persisted. So let's do systemctl restart redis.service. Now we are going to do Redis CLI again. Let's do key star, and here you can see our data this time is persisted even though we restarted Redis database. Okay, so because let's say if you have dump.rdb file, so in that case when we restart database or whenever we start database services, in that case Redis is going to first restore everything which is there in dump.rdb, and then it is going to work as it is. Okay, so now you can see all the keys are available. It means we have been able to make our data persistence. We are not going to lose the data which is there in Redis database. Now this is one method, RDB. There is other method of enabling persistence, which is called AOF, append only file. So what append only file does is it is going to create a log file, okay, more like a log file, and then it is going to keep writing all the commands which we fire at Redis. It is going to keep appending all those commands in AOF, in that append only file. And then when, let's say when we restart Redis, in that case it is going to read all the instructions from AOF file, append only file, and going to enable the same state of Redis which it was before restarting the Redis database. So let's do one thing. Let's go to Redis configuration again, and for that we need to go to redis.conf. And now I'm going to disable this RDB. So here you can see we have commented save, and then we are going to search for, we are going to search for append only. Now here you can see by default append only is marked as no, so I'm going to enable it by writing yes. And also here you can see append file name is going to be called append only.aof. If you want to change the file name, you can change it by making changes here, but I'm just going to leave it append only.aof. Again, which directory it is going to be stored, it is defined by /dir. Okay, so where is dir? Okay. One second, let's search for dir. I think I already shown you previously, so I'm just not going to waste the time again. So this is the place where append only file is going to get created. Okay, so let's do one thing. Since we have made changes in the configuration file, we now can restart Redis database. So let me, and before restarting Redis database, let me also remove dump.rdb file. So I'm going to remove rdb file, and then I'm going to restart Redis services. Now let's see what has happened. Now when we now here you can see when we started Redis services, we can see dump.rdb file and append only.aof file. But dump.rdb is not going to work because in the save configuration we have commented out everything. Okay, so dump.rdb is not really going to work in this case. However, append only file is the one which is going to keep all our data instructions. So let's say I'm going to connect to Redis CLI, and I'm writing set name to my name, set age to some age, set gender to male. Now what has happened is, if I open append only.aof file, here you can see whatever commands which we wrote on, which we processed in Redis, all those instructions has been saved here in append only file. Okay, so now whenever we are restarting Redis database, what Redis is going to do is it is going to read everything from append only file and going to make the same state of Redis by reading all these instructions from append only file. So let's do one thing. Let's restart Redis database again. And now we are going to connect to Redis CLI. Now here you can see if I write keys space star, we still have all the data which is persisted. Okay, so all the data is persisted. We have all the information available here. So that's how you enable AOF. Now in some case you don't really want to enable either RDB or AOF, so that is completely fine. You can disable that all those configuration from redis.configuration file, and that will basically mean that there is no persistence. Okay, the data is not going to get persisted. However, in some scenario you may also want to enable both RDB and AOF, so you can do that as well. You can enable both RDB plus AOF. Again, why you would like to enable only RDB, or why you would like to enable only AOF, or why you would like to enable RDB plus AOF is going to be basically depending on your use case or your application, or the way you want the data to be persisted. So here quickly we can just go through some advantages of RDB. Now here you can see RDB is it's like a single file point in time representation of your Redis data. Okay, so now everything is there in RDB file. If I want to restore RDB file, I just need to copy that RDB file and move it to some other server, and I can install Redis there and restart Redis by restoring that RDB file. Okay, so that is possible. Again, RDB, since it is a file, you can easily compact this file and keep it on any file storage. Okay, and that can be either your Amazon S3. Basically you can keep it anywhere, wherever you can keep the file. RDB allows faster restarts with big data set compared to AOF. So RDB is actually little faster when compared with AOF. So that's one thing. Now one thing you would have noticed in RDB, we defined RDB to take periodic backups. Okay, we told RDB that okay, we are going to you should be storing you should be taking a snapshot after so and so seconds, or after I have inserted or updated so and so number of keys. So that's the reason RDB is generally little faster. In AOF, what we do is we want data to be synced line by line, or we want data to be synced at certain interval. So again, yeah, you can go through the documentation. I'm not going to go through the documentation line by line, but you can go through AOF advantages, disadvantages, and so on. Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So this is going to be lesson number 3 about Redis. And in this lesson, we are going to learn about Redis data types. So as you can see on the right hand side, these are all the data types which are supported by Redis. So in this lesson, we are going to focus only on strings. So strings are one of the easiest to understand data types on Redis. And Redis, here you can see, let's just go to string and try to understand what string is. So Redis strings are just stored as a sequence of bytes. So basically anything which you want to store, it is going to get stored as a sequence of bytes. However, it's not only limited to string. You can literally save whatever you want to save. And also the limit to store a string is quite high. So I think there is a limit. Yeah, you can see the limit is around 512 MB of single string which you can store here. So let me show you how it works. How we are going to go to Redis client, and then let's see all the keys which are currently available. So if I do keys space star, this is going to show me all the keys which are currently available. So you can see we have 0 keys. So now we are going to write some data. So in order to write data, I'm just going to use set command. So the data which I'm going to write is string type of data. So we are going to use set command, and then we are going to give a key. So key can be basically you can give any name which you want. So in this case, let's say I'm going to give user1, and the value can be any value which we want to save with reference to this key. So let's say I want to store as username is Vikas, then I'm going to store age is 34, or whatever if you want to store more info, you can store more information. So for example, let's say I want to I want to store salary, I can do that as well. I want to store bonus information, I can do that as well. Okay, and once we hit enter, now this information has been stored as a string. Now let's say if I want this information back, I can just do get user1, and then I'm able to get all this information. Now remember, this is just a string. So let's say if we want to convert it to any different data type in our application, so we have to handle those things manually. So similar way we can in fact store dictionary as well using set command. However, we have to convert dictionary data type to string first. Okay, so if you are not familiar with dictionary is like JSON. Okay, so JSON and dictionary kind of data, if you want to store, you can do that using set command as well. So now let's try to understand how we can do the same operation, how we can store the same information using Python. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we can do that using Python as well. But I guess before we move on to that, let's see some of the other information which we can, which is useful here. So now one thing is Redis string data type supports lots of commands. So I have list of all the commands which is supported by this data type. So now rather than going each of the command, let's try to understand some of these commands. So this string data type is quite useful, and you can also use it for a counter as well. So for example, let's say you are developing some application and you have kind of maybe you are keeping track of levels. So in that case, let's say once a user crosses or completes one level, you want to increment the level information by 1 or maybe by some value. So you can do that kind of thing as well. So in that case, we can do incr increment, and then we can give a key name. So key name, let's say, is going to be level. And now once I hit enter, so level has been set to 1. Now if I want to get the value of level back, I can always do get level, and I'm going to get 1. Now let's say I do incr level again, hit enter. Now levels value has been incremented by 1. Okay, so now it is 2. If I do increment level again, now it is 3. If I do get level, I'm going to get value of 3. Okay, but now let's say if I want to increment the value of level by 2 or by 3 each time. So in that case, I can do increment by, and I can do level increment it by 3. So in this case, earlier old value was 3, now new value is 6. Now let's say I want to increase it again by 3. So now I can increase it again by 3. And if I want to, anytime I want to refer the value of this, I can just do get level, and then I'm going to get this value back. And let's say if I want to do set level 20, can I do that? Yes, I can do that. So get level, you can see I got the information 20. Even though it is a string, but you are still able to increment the value of this. So for example, let's say if I do increment level, you can see I'm getting 21. So even though this value is stored as a string, however, Redis data type is smart enough, it understands that we want to increment the number, and we are using it more like a counter. So that is how it works. Now let's do one thing. Let's do set name, and I'm going to give my name, and do name increment name. Now here you can see if we store a string, in that case it understands that it cannot be, obviously it is a string and it cannot be incremented, so it is going to give you the error. So it understands, and it is smart enough to perform these operations. Okay, now there are some limitations which I already told you, that we can store maximum of 512 MB in a string. So that is quite a huge number. I have never seen such large string. Okay, so we can do that. And also now one important thing is we can also set expiry value while setting any keys value to the string. So for example, let me do one thing. Let me clear the screen first, and let me flush all the data. Okay, and let me clear the screen again. Let's see. Right now we do not have any key. So now what I will do is I'm going to set a key which is called name, and I'm going to give it a value of my name. Okay, and now I'm going to set another key which is called, let's call it age, and I'm going to give it a value of 20. And also I'm going to set up some expiration value. So I don't want this value to exist in database, let's say after 20 seconds, or let's say after 10 seconds. Okay, what happens? Giving some error. Oh yeah, so you also need to use ex keyword for setting up the expiration in seconds. So I'm going to write expire this key after 10 seconds. Okay, so if I do get age, you can see I'm getting the value. But if I, let's say, do age again after a few seconds, I'm still getting the value. But if I do it after 10 seconds, I'm not going to get any value, because this key is going to get auto expired. So let's try it again. Now you can see it's been more than 10 seconds, and if I do get age, we are not going to get any value. So this operation or expiration is quite useful when you want to set up some session duration or default session time. So you can use expiration while storing the session information. So that is how it is useful, or it is used. Now let's do one thing. Let's move on to Python, and then we are going to do the same operation whatever we did using Python. So first of all, you need to install Redis. So make sure you do pip install Redis. Now I have already done it. So in my case, Redis client is already installed. You can see it is saying requirement already satisfied. So once Redis client is installed, in that case we are going to create a Redis object, and we are setting redis.strict_redis. This is the syntax of setting a connection. So I'm setting host equal to, this is the IP address where Redis is installed. So in this case, Redis is installed on this server. I put this information, and Redis listens on 6379 port by default. So that is the port which I'm using. Now once the connection is successful, after that I'm going to use this Redis client object and going to call set method to set the value of name to Vikas. Okay, now you can set it to whatever value you want. In this case, let's say we want to set it to John, and then if you run it, result is going to be true. So result true is equal to something similar. Let's say if I do here, if I do let's say if I set gender to male, in that case you can see here we get response of OK from the Redis CLI. Now if we are using it through using Python Redis client, in that case we get a response of true. It means the value has been set successfully. Now if we want to read this value, we want to see what was the name set to. In that case we can do that by using Redis client dot get method, and then we need to give the key name. Hit enter. You can see we have got the output, which is John. Now see this output is in binary format, so if you want it in string format you can decode it. So now this is in string. Now let's do one thing. Let's try to store some dictionary information or dictionary data type in Redis string, and let's see how that is going to work. So first of all, what I will do is let me write it here as user1 info, and then I'm going to just store some information such as username. I'll call it Vikas, and then I'm going to set up first name, and let's call it So I'm just showing you how you are going to access Redis if you are using Python to develop your application. Okay, now let's say, because in while you are dealing with application data, your data can be either most probably it is going to be a JSON sort of data, and you should be able to understand how you can write or read the information, JSON type of information from Redis. So now you can see this is JSON data type, and we can also see the data type of this user1 info. I'm just going to comment other lines for now. Now if I run it, we are getting some error because we have forgot to put comma here. Now you can see this is a dictionary data type. So dictionary in Python means it is a JSON data type. Okay, now we are going to write this data. So in that case, let's say the key which I'm going to set is going to be called user:1. Okay, now previously whenever we were setting the key name, we were just giving a single word. However, you can the key name can be anything. Mostly, let's say if you are storing user information, in that case you can store user followed by colon and then followed by maybe user ID or maybe employee ID or things like that. Okay, so in this case I'm just calling it user1. So this is the key name, and the value which I want to set is called user1 info. Now do you think it is going to run or properly, or it is going to give us the error? Let's see. So here you can see if I run it, it is giving us the error, and the error it is giving us that it was expecting string data type, but we actually given dictionary data type. So it is not really able to process it, not able to write to Redis, because we know we are using set command, and set command is only going to write string to this. Okay, so in this case let's do one thing. Now we are going to convert user1 info to string. So I'm going to use string method here. Now here you can see we have got the output as true, which means string has been successfully written against this key. Now I want to also get the information back, so I'm going to use redis client.get.decode and going to run it. Here you can see we have got the information back. Now the information which we read from Redis, is it a dictionary or is it a string? So let's see that as well. So I'm going to store it in output, and then we are going to write type output. So here you can see by default the data or the output which we received, it was in string format. So now what I'm going to do is we want to convert it back to JSON, right? So in that case I'm going to use import JSON. Okay, and we are going to do JSON.loads output, and I'm going to call it JSON output equal to, and then print JSON output. Now it is going to give us error again, and let's look at the error. Here you can see it is saying that expecting property name enclosed in double quotes, and the reason for the error is, let's do this, print output here again. And here you can see this is not really a proper JSON format, because JSON is all the key information is stored in double quotes. Now here it is single quote. So first of all we need to replace all the single quote with double quote. So I'm going to do that here itself. I'm going to replace single quote with double quote. Okay, so this is again all Python stuff. Since this lesson is not about Python, so I'm not really going into much detail about Python, but yeah, if you know basics of Python, you'll be able to understand what I'm doing. Now in this case it should work fine. Here you can see it is working fine because we first converted all the single quote to double quote. Now we stored the information, and then using JSON loads we loaded the information as JSON. If you want to double check it, you can do type JSON underscore output, and you can do JSON underscore output here as well. So dictionary, yeah, we need to print it as well. So here you can see this is the data which we had previously. It was string, and after using JSON.loads, now the new data type is dictionary. So this is how you can write the data to Redis and also get it back using Redis CLI or using Python client. Now if you want to interact with Redis, you can do that using Java or any other programming language as well, but in this lesson or in this tutorial mostly we are going to do everything using Python. So we have completed one data type, which is string. Now a string also supports lots and lots of commands. If I really start going through all of these commands, this playlist is really going to be quite lengthy. So I'm not going through all the commands, but here you can see these are the commands which are commonly used. So you can always go to redis.io commands and you can see these commands. So most of the things which we usually perform on strings are available here. So for example, generally in the application we have some string and we want to append more string into it, or some cases we have a string and we want to pull some information out of that string, or we want to get some range of characters. So we can do those kind of operations by using Redis commands. So please go through these Redis commands. It is going to help you a lot. Now during our course we will see if we really want to go through some of these commands, but for now I'm just going to park it, and if we have some time later on we are going to go into each of these commands in little more detail. So that's all in this video. We just wanted to wrap up string data type. So in upcoming video we are going to cover all the remaining data type as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any question, feel free to write in the comment box. If you have any suggestion, feel free to write in the comment box. Thank you so much for watching. Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So this is video number 4 of Redis tutorial playlist, and in this lesson we are going to learn about Redis lists. So Redis lists is one of the data type which we use to implement either stacks or queues kind of implementation. So we are going to log into Redis CLI, and let me do one thing. Let me open the documentation here. Okay, so again guys, I'm always referring to redis.io documentation. So it is always a good practice that while you are learning, you should also go through the documentation. Okay, so let me run flush all command to flush all the data first, and I'm just going to log into Redis client again. Okay, so here you can see we are logged into Redis client, and then we are going to write keys star, and here you can see currently we do not have any data. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write some data to Redis using Redis lists. Okay, so I'm going to use lpush. So we use lpush when we want to insert the data from the left side. Okay, so it is more like a let me show you actually stack and queue. It will give you some idea about. I know most of you already know about stack and queues, but still just want to, for the people who don't know much, this is how, when you do lpush, data is going to be coming from this side. Okay, this is how you can visualize it. So basically you are adding the data on the left, so you are adding the data on top. Okay, so let me add the data here, and that will start to make sense. So let's say we have all the user IDs. Let's say we are making an application which has all the user IDs, and once the user ID, or once the user is, let's say, subscribing or entering to the chat room, we want to add their IDs into Redis. Okay, so here we are going to call lpush user ID, and let's say user ID is called 101. And then I want to add another ID which is called 103. I want to add for another user which is 103, another user which is 104. And now let's say I want to see all the data which is there now in user ID key. So in order to see all the data, we can do lrange, and then we need to give the key name which is user ID, and then we need to tell how many values we want to see from the list. So I want to see all the values. So in order to see all the values, the starting position is going to be 0 and the ending position is going to be -1. So here you can see we have got all the value. Now you see when we inserted 101, data was here, and then we added one more entry which is 102. So you can see here the next data which we added, it is actually it was on top of 101, and the last data which we added is on the topmost. Okay, is the topmost value at the moment. So now let's say we want to kind of do now stack implementation. So in that case, if we want to do if we want to do queue implementation, let's take an example of queue implementation first. So in that case we can use rpop, and if we want to use stack implementation, in that case we can use lpop to pull the values one by one from this key. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. Let's say we are doing lpop. Okay, I'm actually doing this stack implementation first. So we need to give this key ID which is called user ID, and that's all. You can just hit enter, and once I hit enter, in that case you will see we are going to get value 104. Okay, let me hit enter, and you can see we got value 104, because the last value which went in is going to be the first value which is going to come out. Okay, that's how stack works, right? And then we are going to talk about queue. So for queue we can just use rpop. So in this case the output is going to be 101. Here you can see this is output which we have got. So we use queue when we want to implement first in first out sort of scenario. Okay, so these are the commands which you can use. And let's see, there is other command which is called length, and this command is used to see total number of items which is available for that key. So let's do length user ID, and here you can see right now we have only 2 items. Now remember guys, when we used lpop, so lpop actually removes the item and gives you the item back. Okay, returns you the removed item back here, okay, as an output, but it removes that item from the key. So that's why when we used lpop and rpop, we eventually ended up removing 2 items. So here in this, now we have only 2 items left, and if we want to see which are those 2 items, we can again use lrange user ID 0 to -1, and here you can see we have only 102 and 103. These 2 IDs are left here in this key. Okay, so let's see if we need to learn something else here. Again, yeah, there is one important thing. Let's say if we want to cap the number of values which can be added in a list, so you can do that as well. Okay, so for example, in this case, I think here you can see in this case, ltrim command is being used to limit the value to only 100 values. Okay, let's say we don't want to add more than 100 values. In that case, whenever we run lpush or rpush command, after that we need to run 0. After that we can run ltrim key ID, and 0 to 99 represents that the max value which we want is only 100. And if you are interested in knowing the total number of items or total number of values which can be stored in Redis, so this is the limit. Limit is huge. It is like how many items are this? It's 4 billion. Yes, looks like 4 billion elements which we can store. Now let's do one thing. Since we have been using Redis client, let's clear this screen, and also let's use Python in order to perform the same operation. Okay, so here I'm going to use Python, and I'm using Redis package. So here you can see this is the syntax which we are using to connect to Redis, and if our connection is successful, we should be able to see this output. Okay, so you should be able to see this output, Redis connection pool and connection. It is going to tell you the host you are connected to, port, and the DB which you are connected to. Now let's say we want to write again some element to the same key which we had, which is user ID. So let me do one thing. We are going to use let's start with L push, and then let's say the key ID is user ID, and we are going to add one more ID which is called 110, and let's run it. Now you can see it has returned 3, which means right now there are 3 elements in this user ID. Now I'm just going to add one more item, and now you can see it is returning the total number of items which is available there in this list. So now I'm going to go back to this CLI, and I'm going to use L range, and going to use so we can use L range in order to see all the values which are available there. So here we can see that whatever data which we wrote using Python, that data is there in the database as well. So now let's add some random data programmatically to Redis. So I'm going to use range. So let's say for I in range. Again guys, this is not really a Python tutorial, so I'm not really going into much detail of how Python syntax and semantics work, but I'm just going to show you that if we use this, it is going to print 1 to 100 value. Okay, now let's say I want to add each of these value to Redis. In that case, I'm just going to replace the print with Redis client dot L push user ID, and here I'm going to give I, and we are going to write value added. Here you can see, so all of these values should be there in Redis now. So we can run this L range again, and here you can see all the values are there. Okay, now let's say you want to basically now start working on these values one by one in kind of a stacked order. So in that case, we can, now what we can do is we can let me do one thing. We can do Redis client and dot. Again guys, remember we need to use lpop for implementing stack, and then we are going to write user ID, and then we need to, I think that's all, we don't need to write anything else here. But before I even run it, I would like to use range first. I would like to see how many elements are there in this key first. Okay, because we want to run this loop until we process each of these items. So for that case, we can use L length, and then I'm going to say user ID. Now I'm just going to run this cell. Now here you can see in total we have 103 items or 103 elements there in this list at the moment. So now we are going to pop each item one by one until this list is completely processed. So I'm going to create again, I'm going to create a loop. So I'm going to say, while the length of this user ID is not equal to 0, we want to keep on popping that value, or rather we can, we want to pop that value and also want to print that value here. So once this is completely processed, after this we are going to see the key length again, and then we will see that all the value has been processed. The key length should be 0. So let's run it. Here you can see we got all the reply from Redis, And now if I run lrange or llength, let me run this lrange from CLI. So here you can see if we run lrange now, there is no item available there, and we can also run llength. Okay, so you can see here there's 0 items available there. So this is how basically you use Redis list, and I have also shown you how you can interact or read or write data using Redis CLI and Python. If you still have any question, please feel free to let me know in the comment box. I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you so much for watching. Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So in this lesson we are going to learn about Redis sets. So we use Redis set to track unique items or to perform operations such as intersections, unions and differences. You can also use Redis sets to represent some relations. I'll be giving some example for all of these items. So let's begin by logging into Redis CLI by typing Redis CLI command. And now we are logged into Redis. Let's see all the keys first. You can see I already have a key which is called Amazon membership. So let me remove this key because I want to create everything from the scratch. So I'm just going to delete the key by writing delete command. So delete command is used to delete any key which we want. It doesn't matter what kind of key you have created or what data type you have used. You can use delete command to delete any kind of key. So I'm going to write Amazon membership. And once the key is deleted, we are going to get the response as 1. So it means key has been deleted. We can double check it by writing keys star, and you can see it is saying empty list or set. It means key is deleted. Now let's go on and start using sets. And first command which we are going to use is sadd, and this is used to add members to the set. So first let's start with sadd, and the key name we are going to call Amazon membership. Let's say we want to add all the members who have subscribed to Amazon Prime membership. Okay, so now I'm going to give the list of all the members. So we can give member 001, member 002, member ID 957, member ID 1009. And once we hit enter, we can see the number of members which has been currently added. Okay, so let's say I'm going to add few more members. And this time I'm going to add only one member, 89, and you can see we got the response as 1 because it added one member. Now if we want to see total members, then we can run s members, and then we can write Amazon membership. Okay, so this is going to give us list of all the members which is part of this set. So here you can see this is the output which we have got. Now if you are using s members command, remember it is going to give you list of all the members. So let's say if you have million of members, it is going to return all the million of members, which is not really what you always want. Okay, so in that case, let's say if you only want to process some group of members, in that case you can use scan command. Okay, so using scan command you can give some pattern, and you can get only the items which matches that pattern. So let's say I'm going to write Amazon membership, and cursor is going to be 0 because we want to start from 0th item, and the pattern which we want to match is called, let's say we want to match anything which starts with M0. So I'm going to give M0 star, and then we can provide the number of item which we want to return. Because there may be millions of matching items, and we want to return only 5 items or 10 items in each iteration. So in that case you can provide count. So in this case, let's say we are going to route count equal to 5, and here you can see we have got the output as M002 and M001. Now here notice one thing, we have got 2 items back. Okay, number 1 is called 0. So this is basically tells you the cursor number, next cursor number, and this is the actual members which has been returned from this key. So if cursor number is 0, return cursor number is 0, it means there is no further item to scan. Okay, it means we have already scanned the items, and these are the only items which are available now. For example, let's say I'm going to change this count to 1, and now you can see, okay, since the scan is already completed, so now obviously there is no item or there is no members available there. We can verify that by writing s members Amazon membership, and here you can see we are getting M002, M001. Since we have already scanned this item, so we are not getting this item back again. Let's say we want to do another scan and we want to match everything which starts with M. Okay, and we want to get only 2 items back. So now you can see we got 2 items back, and then we got a cursor value of 1. So it means there are still further items available to be scanned, and we can write, next time when we are running this query, we should write cursor number 1, because this 1 has been returned. It means next item is going to be available starting from cursor 1. So hit enter, and you can see now we got cursor number 3 back. So I'm going to write cursor number 3, and now you can see it is returning 0. It means now we have scanned through all the available items and there is no further item which is available. Now we are going to check sIsMember command. So let's say if you want to know whether a member exists in a key or in a set, in that case you can run sIsMember command. So for example, sIsMember, let's say I want to verify whether member ID M89 exists in Amazon membership or not. So in that case I'm going to write Amazon membership, and the ID which I'm going to give is M89. So now you can see the sIsMember Amazon membership. Oh sorry, I typed the key incorrectly, so it's gonna be MEMBER ship. Okay, so you can see the output which we have got is 1. It means yes, this M89 is a member of Amazon membership set. And if we type some ID which doesn't exist, in that case we are going to get back 0 as out. And now you can perform some intersection using sinter. So let's say we have 2 data sets. One is called Amazon membership, and then we have another data set which is called Netflix membership. Okay, so let me create that by writing sadd and Netflix membership, and we have list of some members which are added there. Okay, so I'm going to call let's say M some number again, and M89. Okay, now let's say we want to see which are the customers who have both the subscriptions, Netflix membership as well as Amazon membership. So in that case we are going to use sinter, and then we need to provide both the sets. Paste it, and then going to copy it, paste it. Yeah, we have got M89. Other than the commands which we discussed, there are several other commands. So let's go to the list of all those commands. Here you can see a list of all the set related commands. So let's say if you want to add a member, or if you want to remove a member, you can use sRemove command. If you want to move a member from one set to another, you can use smove command. If you want to see the difference between 2 sets, you can use sdiff command. Okay, so there are all these commands which are available for sets. So you can go through all of these commands one by one, understand it, and use it for your application. Now we are going to move on to Python. We are going to see how we can use Redis sets using Python. So first of all, I am going to run this to make a connection with Redis client, and then I'm going to basically add members to Amazon membership. Okay, and member ID is going to be from 1 until 100. Okay, so this is just a sequence number which I'm going to add by running this command. So all these members have been added. We can go to Redis CLI again. We can verify all the keys which are available, and then we can check the cardinality by running scardinality command, and we want to see all the members which are available, total number of members which are available in Amazon membership, and that is 104. Then we are going to run members, and we are going to give the key name again. Now you can see we got list of all the 104 members. Okay, so if it had millions of members, members would have returned us millions of items. So that's the reason we should be using scan. Now I'm going to go to scan, and we are going to use membership, and in the count I'm going to give 5. So yeah, remember we also need to give cursor number, which is going to be 0. So, oh, what is going wrong? Oh yeah, it is called scan. I just wrote the command incorrectly again. So count is going to be 5. So it is going to return us 5 items, and also it is going to return us the next cursor number, so which is 72. So if I want to read the next item again, I should be writing 72. and it is going to give me another set of 5 items. Then next cursor item, cursor count should be 24, and in order to get next items, so we are going to do the same using Python. So in that case, we are going to initialize a cursor with -1, and then we are having a condition which is called while cursor not equal to 0. So until the returned cursor value is not equal to 0, we want to just kind of loop through. And here you can see we are reading all the items which is under Amazon membership, and we are giving the cursor count. So cursor count is basically initially we want to set cursor count to 0. So that is why I'm using if cursor is equal to -1, then we want to set cursor to 0, which is going to be the default state. And then we are saying the number of items which we should be returned. So count equal to 3 is going to return 3, or sometimes it can return little more items than the count which is specified here. Reason for that you can see in the Redis documentation, because it is going to be quite detailed explanation. So you can read the Redis documentation to understand why sometimes scan can return more items than specified in the count. And then once the item, it is going to return us the output. So whatever output is returned, there is going to be 2 parts of that output. First part is going to hold the cursor number, and second part is going to hold the actual members. So the first part, from the first part, we are fetching the cursor number and updating the cursor variable with the updated cursor number. And then we are also printing the item which has been returned. So let me run it, and you can see once we run it, this is the output we are getting. Okay, so for the first time it returned 112 as the cursor number, and these are the 3 members it returned. And then next time we again ran the loop again using cursor number as 112. So when we use cursor number 112, it returned these members, and it also returned 72 as the next cursor item. So using this, we loop through all the items. So here you can see these are all the items which were available there in this Amazon membership sets. And again, any command which you can basically use using Redis CLI, you can use that using Python or any other client as well. So that's all in this video. If you have any more question or any specific question, feel free to ask in the comment box. If you want to understand more explanation, or if you need, you want me to create some application using all of these Redis data types, so I'm going to do that probably in the end of the course. Let's say once we clear all the basic concepts, then later on we are going to develop some application which is going to use all these concepts which we have learned using in this Redis playlist. Okay, so till then, please stay tuned and continue giving the feedback which you want me to work on in upcoming videos. So thank you so much for watching. See you again in the next video. So in this video, we are going to learn about Redis hashes. So we use Redis hash when we want to store dictionary or JSON object, or basically any field value pair. So let's go to Redis CLI, and then we are going to let's first see all the keys which are there. Right now we can see there is no key. So let's add a hash by using hset command, and then let's say we want to store user's profile, and this is called user1 profile which we want to store. Name is going to be John. And let's say we also want to add age in user1 profile. Age is going to be 30. And let's say we also want to add one more thing which is called favorite player, and let's call it Messi. As you can see, I have made some mistake here, so it's called hset. Okay, so now we have added 3 field value pairs. So now let's say we want to see all the result. In that case, we can do get all user1, and here you can see name. This is a field and value pair or key value pair which we have added. So it's called name is John, age is 30, favorite player is Messi. Now let's say if you want to add multiple field value pair in a single line, you can do that using hmset. So we are going to write hmset, and we are going to, let's say we want to add profile for another user which is user2. We are going to add name, which is, let me add my detail, and we are going to add age, we are going to add username, let me call it some username, and let's say we also want to store information about favorite actor, let's put Amir. So here you can see all the records has been entered, and we are going to use getAll again to get the information back. You can see we have got all the detail. Now let's say if I want to remove any field value pair or key value pair from any hash, I can do that by using hdelete. So I'm going to use hdelete. Let's say I want to remove favorite actor. So I'm going to provide user2. I want to remove favorite actor. And here you can see we got output as 1, which means this field has been successfully removed. So now we can do getAll user2, and here you can see we now do not have favorite actor any longer. Now other than this, there are several other commands which are available. So we mostly are going to use hdelete, hexist, getAll. These kind of commands are mostly used. So let's see hexist as well. Again, hexist is going to be used when you want to see certain field is available or not available. So for example, let's say I want to know whether whether profile of user2 stores information about favorite actor or not. So in that case, I'm going to write hexist, and I'm going to write user2, which is the key name, and the field which I want to check. So the field which I want to check is called favorite actor. So now you can see it is giving information that this field does not exist, okay, which means the user2 profile doesn't have information about favorite actor. Now let's say you want to know the total, you want to know all the keys which are there, right? In that case, you can do hkeys, and you can provide user2. Okay, so it is going to give you all the information about the field names which are there in this key. And again, we can do it for values as well. So here you can see hkeys, and then we have hvals. So hvals is going to give you all the values. It is going to only return the values, not the field name. So let's say if we do hvals user2, it is going to give me information about the value. Okay, so Vikas, age, and this is the username. So that's pretty much it about Redis hashes. Now we are going to do the same thing using Python. Okay, so let's move on to Python, and here you can see I'm connected to Redis server using Python. And by the way, I have used Redis package, so make sure you also install Redis package before going on and running this command. So now we are going to write Redis client, and using Redis client I'm going to run hmset command. Okay, so now before we run hmset command, let me just create a dictionary which is called, let's say, user4, and in user4 I'm going to store all the information. So now a dictionary or JSON object, in dictionary or JSON object we give key value pairs. So in this case I'm going to add username, which is going to be called user4, and I'm going to, let's say, provide information about age, which is, let me put some age, and then information about gender, information about favorite actor. I don't know, it should have been a favorite sportsman, but that's fine. So this is a dictionary which we are going to load to Redis hash, and we are going to use Redis client.hmset, and we are going to call it user4. So this is the key name. Okay, user4 is the key name which we are going to see here in Redis as well. Okay, so let me clear the screen here. Let me load everything using Python. You can see we got the information as true. It means this information or this data has been loaded to Redis. We can verify that by using keys star, and you can see user4 key is available here now. So we can do getAll, and we can do user4. You can see all this information which we wrote as which we wrote from Python has been updated here. Now if we want to read all the information from any key using Python, we can do that as well. So in that case, I'm going to use Redis client again, get all, and I'm going to use the key name which is user4. So the output will be a dictionary. So this output is a dictionary, and this is the output which we have got. Now if you want to verify the output, we can write output equal to, and now we are going to see the data type of output, which is a dict, okay, which means it is a dictionary or JSON object. And as you know, we can loop through all the dictionary object, because dictionary object is iteratable. So we can write something like for item in output print item. So here you can see all the fields which exist or which we got from running get all. Now if we want to print values as well, we can do output, and we want to print. Here you can see we have username, and then we have the username information. We have field which is called age, then we have the value which is the actual value of the age. Now here you can see you are getting B in the prefix, which means it is basically a binary value. We can decode it to make it a string by using item.decode. Again, this is more of a Python thing. You don't really need to worry about Python at this point of time. I'm just showing you how you can use Python to interact with Redis as well. So that's all the information you needed in order to start working on Redis hash. If you have any request, or if you want to know anything in more detail, you can let me know in the comment section. See you again in the next video. Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about Redis sorted sets. So previously we already learned about sets. So what was set? Set was basically a collection which had members, right? So Redis sorted sets is quite similar to sets. The only thing is in sorted set is that along with the members, we also provide the information about the associated score. So you will use Redis sorted set typically in an application or in the use case when you want to show some leaderboards, or you want to show, let's say, most populous country, least populous country, or when basically you want to show some sort of ranking or order. That's where you can use Redis sorted sets. So let's go to Redis CLI and see some example. So I'm going to connect to Redis CLI first, and then let's see if we have any keys. Okay, so right now we do not have any keys, so I'm going to use Z-add in order to add, or in order to create a sorted set. And let's say I'm going to call it population, and then we need to provide the score. So I'm going to give the population and the country name. So let's say I'm just giving some random population for the country. So let's say this is for India, and then I'm going to give some population for China. And similarly, we can keep on adding more and more information about other countries. Okay, so let's say I want to give information about US. I want to give some population information about Indonesia. Okay, so here you can see we have a set, and we are adding the members in that set along with their associated population. Now if I want to see the data, I can go and run zrange command. So zrange space population, and let's say we want to see top 2 countries with the highest population. So in that case we are going to say 0 space 2. Now by default Redis are sorts sorted set in ascending order. So if we want to see the country with most population, in that case we have to use Z reverse range. Hit enter. Now you can see China, India and Indonesia has come on top. Yeah, sorry, since we wanted to see only first 2 countries, we should have given 0 to 1, so it would have returned top 2 elements or top 2 countries. Now let's do one thing. Let's implement the same on some real data with the help of Python. So let me exit from here, or in fact before exiting let me flush all the data. So you can see there is no data right now in Redis CLI now. Now I came to know about this I came to know about this REST API, okay, which has information about all the countries and their population. So I'm going to use this API using Python. So what I have done is I'm calling this API using Python, and then I'm getting information about country and the population. Okay, so here you can see if I run it, this is the information I'm getting. I'm getting each country name along with their approximate population. So I'm going to load this information in Redis using Redis client. So here you can see we already have made a connection with Redis, and then we are going to use Redis client .zadd, and here we need to provide here we will need to provide the key name and along with the member information. So what I will do is, let me move this code there. I'm going to move this code here, and also I'm going to move this population here as well. Okay, I just need to make some changes in this code first. So I'm going to create a variable called all countries. It's going to be a list, and let me add all this information, all countries dot append. So I'm going to append basically each of the country name with their population, and if you want to print it, this is how it is going to look like. Okay, this is how it is going to look like on Python. Now I should have actually removed this print statement, and let's run it again. Okay, so you can see I have created a list which has basically a dictionary and which contains information about each country and their population. Now see this this data is currently not sorted at all. Okay, so we are just going to loop through each of these items and going to load this data in Redis, and Redis is actually going to take care of adding the data in a sorted order. So now I'm just gonna loop through it by writing for country in all countries, and then we are going to call Redis client zadd, and the key name, let's call it population again, and then we are going to add country information. Hit enter. Okay, this has executed. Now we can go to Redis CLI and run keys star again. You can see population is added. We are going to use Z range and going to give population. Let's say now we want to see a country with least population. Okay, we want to see top 5 countries with least population. So in that case we are going to write 0 until 4. Hit enter. So these are the 5 countries which is having the least population. Now let's say I want to know about the countries, 5 countries which are having the topmost population. So in that case we are going to run Z reverse range population. We are going to say 0 until 5. So here you can see we got these countries: China, India, United States, Indonesia, Pakistan and Brazil. Again, since I wrote 5, we got 6 countries. I should have written 4 in order to get only 5 countries. Okay, now you can see the country information, but you do not see their population. If you want to see the population as well alongside with country information, then you can write with scores. Okay, so if you run this, then you are going to get name of the country with their population, and you can do the same using Python as well. So let's say we have using Python we have added all the country information. Now by using Python we also want to now know which are the top 5 most populous countries. So in that case we are going to run Redis client Z reverse range and going to call population 0 until 4th. If I run it now, Redis object has no attribute. Okay, so it's giving me error because I made some typo. Okay, So here you can see now we got these 5 countries. These are the 5 most populous country, and we also want to know about their population. So I'm going to write with scores, hit enter. So you can see we have got each country along with their population information. So that is how we use a Redis sorted set. So that's all in this video. If you have any query, feel free to write in the comment section. If you like the video, give a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel. See you again in the next lesson. Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So in this lesson we are going to be talking about Redis high availability. So there are many ways of implementing Redis high availability, but in this lesson we are going to learn one of the simplest ways, which is using Redis master and Redis replica. So here you can see I have tried to create a simple diagram which is going to make you understand how Redis master and Redis replica works. So here you can see we have a Redis master database, and the IP address of Redis master database is 192.168.0.19, and Redis master service is running on 6379 port. And for Redis slave, even though the IP is same, but port is so basically service is listening on 6380. Because I do not have 2 different servers to implement Redis high availability, so that's why I'm just going to basically run Redis database services on Docker, and that's why if you see the IP address is going to be the same, but however the port is going to be different for each of the Redis instance, and that is how we will know that it is a separate instance. However, in real world production scenario, you are going to install Redis master on one server, and then you are going to install Redis slave on completely different server. So in that case, IP address of Redis master is going to be different, and IP address of Redis slave is also going to be completely different. So Redis slave is going to be basically a replica of Redis master. Okay, so whatever data you write in Redis master, it is going to be synced with Redis slave. Okay, and this syncing happens asynchronously. So basically Redis master is going to send the data to Redis replica, and then it is basically Redis slave's responsibility to make sure or write those changes in Redis database, Redis replica database as well. Okay, so at any point of time, if Redis master goes down, in that case you can still read the data from Redis slave. And also if you want to enable writing mode, in that case you have to make some configuration changes in Redis slave to enable it for writing as well. By default, Redis master is going to be used for read and write, and Redis slave or Redis replica is going to be used only for reading. But yeah, if you want to promote it to master, this can be promoted to master as well in the case of failover situation. So let's go ahead and try to understand the same with one more diagram, that how it is going to connect using some applications. So here let's assume that this is a server, or this is a end user device from where or this is the server where our application is, and this application is basically making a request to read or write request to Redis master server. Okay, and then if it wants to make only read request, it can also make read request to Redis replica server. So it basically depends on the application. If it is only going to perform read only operation, in that case it can send the request to any of these servers. If it wants to send write request, then it has to send request to master server. If it sends write request to replica server, in that case it is going to get the error. Now let's open Redis CLI, and then we are going to basically we are going to set up Redis high availability using master replica configuration. So in the notepad I have some I do have some Docker configuration which I have already written here. So I'm going to use it in order to basically run Redis on Docker. So let me show you how these commands are going to work. So here you can see we are using Docker run, and -v is basically for volume. So I think you might be aware of little bit of Docker, but since this tutorial is not about Docker, I'm not really going to go into more detail of Docker. But basically what we are doing here is we are mounting a volume. Okay, so we are assigning you can say a mount point to Docker mount point. Okay, because inside Docker there is going to be some mount points, and on our host server where we are running Docker, there is also going to be a mount point. So basically what we are saying is that we are going to put Redis configuration file in apps redis master/conf directory. Okay, and also we are going to put our data file under /apps redis master data. Okay, and the name of this instance is going to be called Redis master, and -p is indicating the port on which this Docker service is going to listen, read or write request, so which is going to be 6379. Okay, and then again we are just telling it that Redis server should read the configuration file from this location. Okay, that's all. But basically, in short, you just need to understand this configuration is going to basically install Redis for Redis master, and this one is going to install Redis for Redis slave. Now let's first install Redis master, and I will tell you what are the changes we need to make in Redis configuration file when we are installing Redis replica or Redis slave. So let's do one thing. Let's move on. And first of all, we need to make sure we have created this directory in our local server. So right now you can see I'm under /apps. So under /apps we need to go to Redis. So I'm going to go to Redis, and inside this we do not have any folder. So I'm going to create a folder called master by writing mkdir master, and then I'm going to create another folder inside master which is going to be called /conf, and then we need one more folder inside master which is going to be called data. Okay, now if I do ls, you can see we have master, and if we go inside master and do ls again, you can see we have conf and data directories. So we are pretty much good. Now we need to create a Redis configuration file. Okay, so Redis configuration file must be created under conf directory. So I'm going to go to conf directory, and here right now I'm just going to create an empty Redis configuration file. Okay, so I'm just going to write redis conf, and I'm going to only give hash and going to save and exit. Now if I do ls, you can see redis.conf file is created here. So now let's go ahead and run this command. So this is a Docker command. This is just going to create a Docker container which is going to run Redis. Okay, Redis master instance in this case. So let's run it, hit enter. Now you can see it has given us a container ID, so it means process has run properly. But in order to verify it, we should run docker container logs, and we should give the name of the container, which is redis_master. In fact, we don't really need to put containers. We can just say docker logs redis master. Now here you can see it is giving us the log saying that ready to accept connection. It means our Redis master is running properly. Now in order to connect to this Redis master, what we can do is we can do redis-cli, and we can simply actually hit enter, because by default it is going to try to connect to port 6379, and this is the port where our Redis master service is listening on. So now you can see, let's do Redis. Let's first clear the screen and do keys space star. You can see right now we do not have any keys, so I'm going to create a key called name. I'm going to give my name, then we are going to see the keys again. Here you can see we have a key called name. If I want to see the value of this, you can see we are able to get the value. Now this is about Redis master. So we have set up the Redis master instance. Now let's go ahead and set up one more instance, which is going to be Redis replica instance. So I'm going to open a new command prompt, and I'm going to log into the server. Okay, and let me do one thing. Let me keep replica on the right hand side and master on the left side. Okay, also on top you can always see that we are inside /apps redis master conf, and other thing you can verify is we are connected to port 6379. So 6379 means this port is basically for master Redis master, and on the right hand side we are going to connect to we are going to install and going to connect to Redis replica, which is going to listen on port 6380. So let's clear the screen and go to cd/apps/redis. Now inside this we have a folder called master, but for a slave we are going to create another folder which is going to be called slave. So I'm going to write mkdir slave, and then inside slave we are going to create one more folder called conf, and then we are going to create one more folder under slave which is called let's call it data. Okay, now you can see we have folder called slave. Let's move inside this folder and do ls. You can see we have a folder called conf and data. So we are going to go inside conf folder, and now here we need to create a configuration file for Redis. So here I'm going to say vi redis.conf in order to create a file, and here we need to tell that this replica, or this basically Redis instance is a replica of Redis master instance. So we are going to say replica of, and we need to tell which instance it is going to connect to. So it is going to connect to 192.168.0.19 on port 6379. Okay, that is where our master is running on. Save this, and you can verify it by doing cat redisconf. You can see this is written under redis.configuration file. Okay, now we are going to copy this and going to run it. Okay, now notice here one thing, you can see port is 6380. So we are telling that other instance of Redis, which is a slave instance or replica instance, is going to run on port 6380. So let's copy it, and I'm going to paste it here. Sorry, I need to copy it again. Move here, paste it, and hit enter. Okay, so you can see we can do docker logs redis underscore slave again, and here you can let me maximize it. Here you can see the logs. Okay, it is saying that it is basically it has started the sync, it has connected to master, and it has been able to connect, and it has received some keys information, and it has basically now synced itself with master. So let's do one thing, let's connect to this instance. Now let's go to side-by-side mode again. So on the left you see master, on the right side you see a replica. So let me clear the screen and let me connect to this replica's Redis by writing redis-cli. And in this case we don't want to connect to default port, because if I do redis-cli and if I hit enter, it is going to connect me to service which is listening on port 6379, which is for master. However, I want to connect for replica instance. So in that case I'm going to specify the port by writing -p and going to write 6380 and hit enter. So now you can see we are connected to a Redis instance which is running or listening on 6380, and we know that this instance is for replica or for slave. So let's do keys space star. Here you can see we have a key name which is called name here. Okay, so whatever data was there in master has been replicated here on this replica instance as well. So now let's go to master and let's try to add one more key which is called age. Let's give some age info here, and here now on the child side we can do keys space star. You can see age information has also been synced here. Okay, so now you can see this is how high availability works. So let's say if this master goes down, we'll be able to read the data from Redis replica instance. Now let's try to read data from here. Let's do get age. You can see we got the information. Let's do get name. You can see we got the information. Now let's try to write something on Redis replica instance. So I'm going to say set gender male, and here you can see we are getting the error which says read only. You can't write against a read only replica, okay, because this replica is basically meant for read only because it is a replica, so it is going to serve its purpose. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's shut down the services of master, Redis master. So for that I'm going to first exit from here, and then because we are running Redis on Docker container, so we are going to stop Docker container which is for Redis underscore master. So it means it will stop Docker container stop. Hang on, let me clear the screen first. Docker container stop Redis underscore master. Now it has stopped container which is called Redis master. So it means now we only have one replica. We have only one Redis instance which is of Redis replica. Now let's do key star here again. You can see this one is running fine. Okay, and let's say if we try to connect to Redis master using Redis CLI, you can see it is giving us the error because now we have stopped Redis master services. However, Redis replica is still running and it can process all the read requests. Now what if you want to change or if you want to make it or promote it to master? So in that case you need to write replica of, and here you need to write no one. Okay, so you need to write replica of no one, and then now it is promoted to master. So if I want to make a write request here now, so for example, let's say I want to add a gender, you can see it has accepted the request, and we can do keys star. Here you can see now information, gender, key information has been written here. So let's say if I want to add some more information, for example, favorite movie, let's call it, okay, so we can do again key star. So here you can see basically we are able to we have promoted replica to master, and we are able to write information to master as well. So this is how replicas work, and this is how Redis high availability work. Now one very important thing which you need to remember is that when you are setting up Redis master and Redis replica, in that case you need to make sure that you have enabled persistence data. Okay, if you have not enabled persistence data on master, in that case you are going to get into big problem, and I will show you how. Okay, so let's start Docker, let's start master services again. Now let me start Docker container start Redis master connection refused. Oh yeah, sorry, we need to exit from here first, and then we need to write Docker container start Redis underscore master. Now notice guys, there is one thing which you need to notice here is that now we actually promoted this replica or this slave to master. Okay, so and we also wrote some extra information here, for example gender and favorite movie. Now once I bring master services up, this replica is going to sync up again with whatever information which was there in master, and it is going to bring itself to the same state in which master is. So basically in master we do not have this information which is called gender and favorite movie, so it is going to delete these data or going to drop these data. Okay, we will see that in action. So let's do Docker container start Redis master, and then we are going to just run keys star here on the replica. Do again keys star. Oh yeah, by the way, we actually changed the configuration here, right? We changed it to and set it as replica of no one. So that's why right now it is basically not syncing with master. So we are going to change this again. We are going to make it replica of 192.168.43.196379 port. Sorry, the IP address is 0.19. Now hit enter. It is saying okay, do keys space star, and you will see slowly it is going to see here. You can see that it has dropped this data which is favorite movie and gender, because this data was not available here in master. You can see on the Redis master we only had age and name. So now on Redis replica or Redis slave also we only have age and name. Okay, so basically once you fail over and promote Redis slave to master, and after that you want to restore, okay, you want to make the primary master again to master, in that case you need to make sure that first you take a backup of RDB which was there on slave side, you copy that to master, load all the data, and then after that only you promote Redis, this Redis primary one back to master. Otherwise, if master is having less data and slave is having more data, and you bring up master services, Redis slave is going to lose all the data, okay, because master is having less data. Now let's do one more thing. So what we are going to do here is, let me exit from here and let me stop Redis master, Redis container, stop Redis master. Okay. Oh, sorry. Docker container, stop Redis master. Okay, so Redis master is stopped. Now we are going to go to the configuration file of the master, and we are going to disable backup. Okay, we are going to basically disable persistence. So I'm going to say save here, and then we are going to say append only to no. Okay, so this will ensure that there is no backup or no persistence is going to be enabled. Now we can go to cd. Let's go to one folder back and go to cd data. Okay, and you can see here we have dump.rdb, which was taking backup earlier. So now we are going to remove this, and now I have cleared the screen. Okay, now let's start Redis service. Okay, now what do you think is going to happen? Let me show you what is going to happen. Let's say I do Redis CLI. Okay, I have not started Redis master again, so I need to do docker container Redis _ master, docker container start Redis master, and then we are going to do Redis CLI. So now we are connected to master. If we do keys space star, you can see there is no keys here. Now you see, if I go to Redis slave also has dropped all the data, so it has emptied itself. So this is a problem which you will see. Let's say you have Redis master, okay, and on Redis master you have not enabled persistence. So in that case, let's say if I okay, let me clear the screen on both the sides first. Okay, so here you can see we have Redis master on the left side. You can see on the right side we have Redis slave. Okay, so on the Redis master side we do not have any key. Okay, now I'm going to write a new key which is called name, and I have put some value there. Then I'm going to write another key which is called age. Let me put some value there, and another key, let me put some value there, and we can see that these three keys are there. Now Replica is going to replicate itself and going to make it to same state on which Redis master is. So if we do keys space star here, we can see age, gender, name information is there in Replica as well. Now we have not enabled persistence, right? We are not really persisting these data on disk, because we have disabled RDB, and we have also disabled append only files. So I have given information about RDB and append only file in Redis persistent lecture. So please go on and watch that one as well, because that is going to be give you more detail and going to make more sense, you know. Because right now I think you might be getting confused what is this Redis persistence I'm talking about. So please go and watch that video. You'll be able to understand this video in more detail, okay, after watching that video. So now here, let's say now for some reason Redis master services crashes or it restarts itself. Okay, so let me do that by doing docker container restart Redis _ master. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are restarting master services to simulate some Redis master crash. Okay, Redis master crash and auto restart, or maybe a Redis master server crash, and that server is going to automatically start itself. And then once the server is started, let's say we have enabled Redis services to start on the boot. Okay, so in that case, what is going to happen? Let's see. So here you can see Redis master is restarted, and let's observe what is happening here on the slave. I'm going to write key star. You see what has happened here? Now Redis slave has removed all the data. And why it has done it? Because Redis master was not really, we were not really persisting anything in Redis master. So when Redis master crashed, it went down, and when it started, there was no backup. Okay, so Redis master started as a fresh blank data, and Redis slave, whatever state Redis master was in, it made its state same like Redis master. So basically we ended up, even though we have high availability enabled, but we ended up losing all our data. So that is what you need to make sure whenever you are running, whenever you have enabled high availability. In that case, you need to make sure you have also enabled some sort of data persistence on the Redis master instance. Okay, that is of utmost important. Or if you have not enabled persistence, in that case, please make sure you also disable Redis automatic restart after let's say server reboots. Okay, so because if server reboots, Redis is going to start and it is going to create a fresh instance. Okay, because there is no data available to load from Redis backup. And after that, this is what is going to happen. Both your data set is going to become blank. Okay, so that's all about Redis high availability. I hope this lesson made sense. I know this can be little confusing, but just go through this video maybe a couple of times. You'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. And also make sure you implement this or do some hands-on of Redis high availability. And after that, things are going to be easy once you get comfortable writing or setting up Redis master slave configuration on your own. Things are going to be easier. You'll be able to understand in more detail. Okay, so that's all in this video. See you again in the next lesson with some new content. Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So we are going to continue with our Redis tutorial playlist. And in previous video, we learned about setting up Redis high availability and then performing the failover. However, in the previous video, whatever we learned, the failover was performed manually. And also the restoration from the failover was also performed manually. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about something called Redis Sentinel. So Redis Sentinel is going to help us set up high availability and also perform the failover manually. Because if you are setting up high availability and failover is not happening automatically in a production environment, then high availability is not really good, because anytime when master system goes down, you have to perform the failover manually in that case. And until you perform the failover manually, there is no one who's going to be able to access the database. So that's why it is not really a good idea to create a high availability system where failover is happening manually. So let's move on and discuss about the setup which we are going to need. However, by the way, if you have not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. If you have any recommendation or if you have any suggestion, do let me know in the comment section. So let me show you how Redis Sentinel configuration is going to look like. So we are going to have a Redis master. Basically, we are going to have 3 servers. Okay, so this is server 1, this is server 2, this is server 3. And then we are going to install Redis master and Redis Sentinel on server 1. Then we are going to install Redis and Redis Sentinel on server 2 and 3 as well. The first one we are going to call it Redis master. Server 2 and 3 is going to become our Redis replica initially. Okay, however, let's say once server 1 goes down, in that case Redis Sentinel is going to automatically promote one of the available replicas into Redis master. Okay, so that is how it is going to work. And from an application, whenever we are connecting to Redis, we are always going to connect to Redis Sentinel first, and we are going to ask Redis Sentinel which is our current master. So Redis Sentinel is going to let us know which is the current master. And using that information, we are going to then connect to Redis in order to make all the read and write requests. So these are things I'm going to do because I need 3 servers in this case. So that's why I'm using Amazon AWS EC2 setup. So I'm going to create 3 instances. Okay, so if you are setting up this same setup on cloud, you are going to need this. So first of all, I have created 3 EC2 instances. So you can see here, I'm going to move to Amazon cloud. So here you can see I have created 3 EC2 instances. So these are the 3 servers which we have. You can see the public IP and private IP of those servers. Okay, it has logged me out. Let me log back in again. Okay, so we are logged back in. So here you can see these are the 3 instances which I have created. So since this lesson is not about Amazon, so I'm not really going into the steps of creating EC2 instances. However, you can see that these are the three servers which we have. These are the public IP addresses of the servers, and these are the private IP addresses of the servers. Now let's go on. So after we create three EC2 instances, we also need to create a security group in AWS, because by default these all these three servers, they are not going to be able to communicate to each other. Okay, so we need to make sure they are able to communicate to each other and they are able to access Redis services. So I have already done that, and I have also allowed port 6379 and 26379. So 6379 port is used for Redis, as I have already shown you in the previous lessons, and port 26379 is where Redis Sentinel services listens on. Okay, so these are the ports which we need. So all of these Amazon setup I have already done it. Probably I'm going to explain all of these things in detail when we are creating tutorial about Amazon cloud. In this lesson I'm going to discuss about these steps. However, I have told you these are the things which you will need if you are setting up it on cloud. You can discuss it with your AWS administrator to set these things up. Okay, now we are going to install Redis on each of these instances. So currently let me show you. I'm connecting to all of these three clients using Solar Putty. So here you can see Redis 1 instance is there, and here you can see Redis 2 instance is there, and here we have Redis 3 instance. Okay, these are the three servers which we have. Now let's go to server 1. I'm just switching to root user on all the three servers. Okay, now here you can see, let me clear the screen. Let me do Redis-CLI, and we can do info replication in order to check which server is the current master. So here you can see it is telling us that this server is currently performing the role of a master. Okay, and it has two connected slaves, and these are the IP addresses of the slaves. And let's do the same here. So I'm going to do Redis-CLI in info replication, and here you can see this server is currently performing role of a slave, and here is the master host IP address, and it also has information about replicas. Okay, so let me clear the screen here as well. You can do the same here on this instance as well. Okay, so this is also a slave. So basically, as per our current setup, Redis 1 is basically a master. First instance is a master. Let me go back to Amazon EC2 instances. So here you can see this is the first server. So this server is currently the master. Also, let me go back to this instance again. Here you can verify again. So it is telling you IP address 180, IP address ending with 180, and IP address ending with 64. These are slaves. So here you can see this is the instance where IP address is ending with 180, and this is the instance where IP address is ending with 64. So these two instances which we are calling Redis 2 and 3, these are currently Redis replicas. Okay, so I hope this setup is clear. Now again, if you are setting it up fresh, you need to make sure that you are aware of the private and public IP addresses, and then you install Redis on all of these three instances, and then you also make one node as master, and you need to make sure other two nodes are set up as replica. Now I'm not showing all of these steps, how to make a master and how to set up other two instances as replica, because I have already shown it in the previous video and I don't really want to make repetitive content. Okay, so you can go on and see how we can set up replicas by modifying Redis configuration file. Now I'm going to show you how we can set up Redis Sentinel. Okay, so we are going to go back to each of these clients, and let me clear the screen, exit from here. And first of all, in order to set up Sentinel, we will need sentinel.configuration file, and I already have a configuration file available here. I'm going to, however, remove it and going to create a Sentinel file again. Okay, so let me remove this file by doing rm-f sentinel.conf. Let me clear the screen. Let me do pwd. Okay, so we are currently under /root directory. I'm going to create redis.conf file here. So I'm going to call it vi redis.conf, and here we will need to tell information about our current master. Okay, so I have a syntax available here. So we need to write Sentinel monitor, and we need to give any name to this Redis master. Okay, so I'm going to call it my master, and then we need to provide IP address of Redis master. So we are going to do that, and then we are going to give the port information, which is 6379, and in the last you can see we have something which is called number 2. So this is called quorum. Number 2 here means is that minimum 2 replicas, 2 Sentinel replicas should agree before making any changes. Okay, so for example, if here Redis Sentinel goes down, minimum these 2 Sentinels will have to agree to promote any Redis replica as a master. Okay, so that is the purpose of quorum. And you make sure whenever you are installing Redis Sentinel, you are installing Redis Sentinel on minimum of 3 servers. Okay, so here you can see we have installed, we are going to basically install Redis Sentinel on the 3 servers. Now, one important thing to note here is you don't necessarily need to install Redis Sentinel on the same server where Redis is installed. You can install Redis Sentinel on completely different servers. Okay, so you can have a different setup. Now I'm going to write these information in our sentinel.conf file, and we need IP address of our current master. So here you can see this is the current master, so I'm going to provide this IP address. Now here make sure you provide internal IP address. Okay, and the port is going to be 6379, quorum is 2, and we are going to save it. Let's read the content again. Yes, we have saved it. Okay, so now we are going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to do the same thing on other servers as well. So let me remove existing files. Now I'm going to create a new file called sentinel.conf. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to do the same on 3rd server as well. So here you can see this is the last server where I am performing this configuration. Now we have Sentinel configuration file created on all the 3 servers. Okay, so now let's go to server 1 and clear the screen. Now we are going to write command to start Redis Sentinel. So for that we are going to do redis-server, and then we need to provide a complete file path of Sentinel configuration file. Okay, so we are going to write sentinel.conf, and then we are going to write -- sentinel and then ampersand. Okay, so this is going to start Redis, this is going to start Sentinel, and then it is going to run Sentinel in the background. Okay, so hit enter, and here you can see, okay, we are getting some error called can't open config file sentinel.conf. okay, so we are getting some error. Let me see what is wrong here. Oh yeah, sorry, we created I just made a mistake. This file should be called sentinel.conf, not redis.conf. okay, so let me rename it to sentinel.conf. okay, we are going to run this command again. Now we can see Sentinel has started on server 1. okay, let me clear the screen here. Okay, we are going to run the same command here as well, redis-server sentinel.conf and then -- sentinel, and then we are going to do the same here, redis-server sentinel.conf -- sentinel. okay, so now we can see Sentinel services are running on all the 3 servers. Now notice one thing, notice the logs of Sentinel. Okay, here you can see what Sentinel is doing is it is able to read the information about master from the Sentinel configuration file, and then from there it has automatically detected the slave information. Okay, so here you can see plus slave plus slave, and also you can see the IP addresses of the slave. Okay, so here you can see that Sentinel is automatically able to understand that there are two slaves available for the master, and these are the IP addresses of the slave. You can see that it has already automatically detected the correct IP addresses of the slave. Okay, so all the sentinels are having the same information. Now we can also let's go to Python, and then using Python we are going to connect to Redis Sentinel and going to see which is the current master. Okay, so now here you can see this is a Python program, and this information is being used to basically connect to Sentinel, and then using Sentinel we are going to connect and get the information about current master. Okay, and once we get the information about current master, so the current master IP address is going to be a private IP address, so we need to map that private IP address to public IP address in order to connect to the instance using public IP address. So let me run this program, and here you can see this is giving us information that current key error master IP. One second, I'm just getting some error here. Okay, yeah, let me run it again. Okay, so it is giving us information that current master IP address is 172, or basically the one which is ending with 149. So let's go back to Amazon instance. Here we can see that yeah, this is the IP address which is ending with 149, which is Redis server 1, and we know for a fact that this server is Redis master. Okay, so we can now ping this server and we are getting the information as true. Okay, so basically using Redis Sentinel we are able to know about the latest master, Redis master, and we are then able to connect to master. And now we can also do master con. Let's write some information. I'm going to write, let's say we want to write about course. We are going to, or let's call it tutorial, and let's call it Python Redis tutorial. Hit enter. Here you can see it is showing true. It means this information has been returned to Redis. Now let's go to each of these servers, and we are going to, I'm going to connect to Redis and going to do key star. Here you can see we have information. We have a key which is called tutorial. I'm going to write get tutorial. You can see this information is available here. Now let's see whether we can get the same information from any other node as well. So I'm going to do Redis CLI keys star. Here you can see we already have information about tutorial, so we can do get tutorial, and you can see we are able to read the information. So from replica slaves we will be able to read the information, but if we want to write something we have to always go to the master node or master instance. That is the reason if you see in our Python program we are connecting to Sentinel and getting the information about current master, because we wanted to make some, or we wanted to run some write commands. Okay, now here let's say if I try to write something here, you can see we are going to get the error because we are trying to write on the read-only replicas. Now let's do one thing. Let me shut down this server. Okay, so I'm going to stop Redis 1 server. So let me go to Amazon instances, and then we are going to, I'm going to stop this instance 1. Okay, let me change the state here and stop this instance. So now in this case, let's see what is happening here. Now here you can see Sentinel is going to be, going to make some changes, and Sentinel is going to promote any of the other available nodes as a master. Okay, so we are going to see that soon here. Now you can see Redis 1, this instance we stopped, so we are no longer connected to this instance. So Redis 1 is gone. We are simulating Redis, current Redis master crash behavior. Okay, so here we can see that Sentinel is, you can see there is a line called S down. Okay, so basically there is a Sentinel node is down, and that information has been captured here. And this is the IP address of the Sentinel node which is down, and this was basically a master as well. Okay, so that is how you can read this information. Now it is going to start the promotion process as well. So it is going to so basically now two Redis Sentinel servers will have to agree that yes, Redis master is down and we need to promote any of the available replica to a master server. Okay, so that step is basically going to happen soon. And let's see what happens if we run this program now. Okay, let me run this Python program now. Let's see what happens. So here you can see it is still executing, it is still processing, because I think right now it is not able to basically determine which is the current master, because this failover, it happens automatically. However, it does take some time. Okay, so it can take up to 1 or 2 minutes in order for this failover to happen. Okay, so you can see right now, yes, so you can see right now we have information about where is that? Do we have information? Yes, we have a new yeah, I think we have information about new master, but I think this information is still stale. It is not giving information about new master because this IP address is still of the old master. So I'm going to run mastercon.ping and let's see if this is working, because I don't think it will be able to connect because we know we have shut down this instance, and here you can see we are no longer able to connect to connect here. Okay, so you can see here during the failover process where new master has still not taken over yet, Redis Sentinel is still giving information that this IP address, which was the old IP address, is the master, which is not true any longer. Okay, so yes, here you can see it is switching over to new master. Failover and my master, switch master, slave down. I'm still waiting, and let's run this code again to see which is the current master now. Okay, so now I think we are getting the correct information. Now you can see this node, which was our Redis node number 3, has become the master now. Okay, we can also verify that from here. Yeah, it has switched master. You can see previous master was this, and now new master is the one which is ending with 64. So now our Python program is also returning the IP address which is ending with 64, which is the new master. And now we can also verify we are getting the ping response, so we are able to connect to this instance. Now I'm going to write some information. So I'm going to say key 1 and going to give value of value 1, and yes, we are getting response as true. It means this information has been written in Redis. So let's go to Redis and do keys star, and here you can see we have key 1, okay, which is giving value 1. So now you can see the failover has happened automatically. Here you can see failover has happened automatically, and now we are able to connect to new master. So this is how basically Sentinel high availability works. And now one more thing, if I go and bring back this node 1, in that case this is going to join new Redis master. Okay, so this is going to become a replica of this node, which is Redis 3, okay, which is the current master. So let me show that to you as well. I'm going to go to instances and then I'm going to bring back this instance. However, one thing you need to notice here, whenever I start new instance, the public IP address might change. Okay, public IP address, here you can see public IP address is ending with 133. Let me check here. Okay, so for here you can see for the private IP which is ending with 149, previous IP address was something else, so now I have changed that to new public IP address. So this is happening because we do not have a static public IP address, and this is again Amazon cloud concept. You don't really need to worry about that as of now. Now let me connect to Redis 1. You can see we are connected to Redis 1, and now I'm going to write, let me switch to root user and do Redis -CLI, and we are going to do info replication. And here you can see now this server, which was previously a master, and this was shut down. Now Redis 3 has taken role of Redis master, and then when Redis 1 is recovered, it has become a slave. You can see its current role is of a slave, and master host is IP address which is ending with 64, okay, which is Redis 3. So this is how you can see, Redis high availability is completely taken care automatically by Redis Sentinel. So that's all I had in this video. See you again in the next video. If you have any question, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to assist you. Hey, hi everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So in this video we are going to learn about setting up Redis high availability and Sentinel on Dockers. So these are the steps which we are going to follow. So first of all, we are going to create a Docker network. Okay, so this is the command to create a Docker network. The network name is going to be called Redis Net, and this network is going to be used for interconnecting all the subsequent Redis Dockers which we are going to create. So once we have the network ready, then we are going to first of all create a Docker container which is going to be running a Redis master node. So here you can see this is the command which is called docker run --name Redis master, and there is some port mapping available. And then here you can see we are using the network which we created in previous command. So a network name is called Redis Net, and we want to run Redis in detached mode, and then we are passing this command to Redis server. So append only going to do is basically whatever command which is going to be passed to Redis, it is going to be storing those information. So here is a quick explanation. You can pause the screen here if you want to read it. Read everything. Once you understand and you are comfortable, then you can move on. So once we, let's say, create the master node, then we are going to create two replica nodes. So here you can see this is the command for creating first replica node, and here you can see until here statement is same like the above command, and then in the end we are just adding one more parameter which is called slave of. So we are telling that this Docker container which I am creating, it is going to run Redis service, and then Redis service which is going to be created, and that service is basically going to be replica of Redis master. And here you can see Redis master is again a container which is already created previously. Okay, so this is the name of the container which is Redis master. So we are going to use this container name here when we are creating replicas. So that is why it is important that you create master first before creating replicas. Okay. And one more thing, here you can see port mapping. So I hope you have already understood about port mapping by reading here in the Docker command explanation. However, I'm going to explain these things in detail when I'm creating tutorial about Docker. So I think let's begin. We are going to perform these steps until here, then I'm going to explain you further steps. So first of all, I'm using Solar Putty to connect to the server. So this is the server which I have. The IP for that is 192.168.43.19. So let me just connect to this server. Guys, again, if you want to practice it, you can do it as well. Just create a server. So here you can see I have installed CentOS basically on virtual box, and then I can practice all of these. I know it will not be possible for everyone to have 3 node servers or 6 node servers to practice all of these things. So it's better you have VirtualBox installed, you create a server, and then you install Docker on that, and then you can create as many containers as you want. So here you can see we are now logged into the server. So I'm going to run docker container ls command. Here you can see right now we do not have any container, and then we are going to start creating containers one by one. Okay, now let's also do docker network ls, so I can show you what is the existing network. So here you can see we have 3 networks available. One is called bridge, other is called host, third one is called none. So we are going to create a new network name which is going to be called Redis-net. So let me create it. I'm going to run it here, hit enter, and here you can see it has given some ID, which means basically Docker network has been created. So I'm going to do docker network ls again, and here you can see in the output we have a docker network called Redis-net. Now whatever docker container which I'm creating, I'm going to provide this network name. So let's move on and start creating our first node, which is going to be a master node. So here I'm going to go to the server again, hit enter, and here you can see it has created Redis master node. Now I'm going to create replica nodes. So I'm just going to copy the command, and guys, don't worry, I'm going to give you this command in a document. So I'm going to put it in a document and going to give you the link, so you can also just copy paste it. So here you can see I'm just going to create another replica. Okay, so now we can do docker container ls, and here you can see 3 containers has been created, and these are the names of all the containers. So first container is called Redis master, then we have 2 replicas, one is called Redis replica 1, other one is called Redis replica 2. Okay, so until now we have performed the steps. Now in order to set up Sentinel, we also need to know the IP address of Redis master. Okay, so here is this command is going to give us IP address of all the Docker containers. So if I run it, here you can see IP address for Redis master is 172.18.0.2, and that is great. So we are going to now create Redis Sentinel. Okay, so now in order to start running Sentinel containers, we also need to have Sentinel configuration file available, because Sentinel configuration file is going to be read by Sentinel. So I'm going to create this Sentinel configuration file, and notice one thing here. We are going to create 3 files, okay, for 3 Sentinels. So we are going to have 3 Sentinels, and this is the directory where I am going to keep all the Sentinel configuration files. So here you can see I have a directory called /apps/redis/sentinel/sentinel1, and in this file I'm going to keep a configuration for first Sentinel. Okay, and then here I'm going to keep configuration for second Sentinel, and here I'm going to keep configuration for third Sentinel. So again, you can make any other directory structure which you want, and you can replace it with the proper name. And inside this, all of these I'm creating sentinel.conf file. Okay, now here if you see this IP address, we need to replace it with the IP address of the master node. So I'm just going to go here, and this is the IP address of the Redis master node. So I'm going to go back here, I'm going to replace it. So let me change it. Okay, so I've changed it. So basically what this command is doing is it is going to put this line, okay, this piece of information going to be get returned to this file which is going to be in this directory. However, if you want to create this manually, you can go and create a file called sentinel.conf, and then you can write this information: sentinel monitor my master IP address space port number space 2 is the quorum. Okay, so I have already discussed this and explained this in detail in the previous videos, so that's why I'm not going into detail in this lesson. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it and going to run it one by one. So here you can see first command is executed. Let's go on, copy the second one and going to paste it here. It's executed. Going to go to third one, copy it, and then we are going to go to the server, paste it. Now all the configuration files have been created. Now we can go on and start creating our Sentinel containers. Now again, for Sentinel containers, here is the explanation of the command which we are running. So please pause it here, understand each of the items which we are going to run, so it is going to give you better clarity. Okay, you can pause the video here, and once you watch it or once you understand it, you can move on. So now here you can see I'm just going to copy first line item, and then going to go to the server, run it. Here you can see container is created. Going to copy second line item, going to go to the server, run it again, and let me clear the screen. Now going to run third item. Okay, now clear the screen again. So now we have created we have created 6 containers. Okay, so we can go on and do, let me go on and do docker, oh come on, docker container ls. Here you can see we have 6 containers now. Okay, and if you want to see IP addresses of all these containers, you can again go on and run this command. So here, let me go here and run it. Here you can see we have 6 containers, and these are the container names and IP addresses. Now let's go on and create, and basically now we have everything ready, so we can start seeing the logs of Sentinel just to understand what is going on. So let me clear the screen again, and we can run this command. I have put this command to see the logs continuously, so you can copy it and run it here. So I'm just gonna paste it Okay, seems like something went wrong while pasting it. So let me write this here. Docker container logs hyphen follow, and here you can give the name of the container for which you want to see the logs. So I want to see logs of Redis Sentinel _1. Oh, sorry, here is a mistake. We need to write follow. Okay, so here you can see this is showing you the logs of first Sentinel. So here again you can see there are various statements. There are some statements starting with plus monitor, plus slave, and so on. If you want to understand this in detail, you can go to the documentation, and I have given the link of the documentation as well. You can go to this URL, and it is basically explaining each of the things in detail. So here you can see what is the meaning of plus S down. So S down means the specified instance is now subjectively down state, and so on. If you see plus monitor and any other status, basically here is the explanation for all that. But in short, let's go to the server and try to understand. So now what it has done is, here you can see it knows that it is able to basically pick up master configuration, and it knows that this is a master server, and the IP for the master server is 178.18.0.2. And then it also knows about the slave servers. Here you can see it is having entry of a slave server, and slave server ending with 0.3 and 0.4. okay, so this is about 2 slave servers. Now let me open one more console where we can go and log into Redis CLI and go and see some other information as well. So while it is opening, let it open. Probably let me open one more console. Okay, so now we have 3 console. Let me open one more console. So what we will do is, let me run Redis Sentinel logs for all the 3 servers. This is for first one. So let me do for other one as well. Docker logs hyphen follow Redis Sentinel _2. Okay, and for third Sentinel as well, let's run the same command. So it is going to be called docker logs hyphen follow Redis Sentinel _3. Okay, so here you can see what is actually going on in all the Sentinel instances. Now let's do one thing. We are going to I'm going to connect to Redis master node, and as you can see for Redis master node, we can just run Redis -CLI, and we can do keys star. Now you can see currently we do not have anything written here. So let me do set name and my name. So here you can see it is saying okay, it means this information has been written. Now I'm exiting from here. Now I'm connecting to Redis. Now I'm going to connect to replica nodes. Okay, and let me just quickly run this command again so we get the IP addresses of all the containers. So here for IP address of Redis replica node is 172.18.0.3. So I'm going to do Redis -CLI, and we want to connect to replica node. So I'm going to put -h for host parameter, and then we can give the IP address of the node to which we want to connect. So here you can see we are now connected to one of the replica node, and then we are going to do keys star, and here you can see we wrote this information in master. Now it has been replicated to replica node, and we can do get name. You can see the information here. Now if we try to write here, for example, let me try to write age. You can see here we are getting the error that this is a read-only replica. Okay, so it means it is a clear indication that this is a replica node and it will not allow you to write it. So this is the information about setting up. So basically we have set up a Redis Sentinel high availability. Now I'm going to go to Python program, and let me go to the Python program. We will try to connect to Redis Sentinel using Python program, and then we will see how things work. Okay, because the objective is to basically we need to be able to use Redis Sentinel using our program, right, or using our application. So here you can see I'm having a program already available here. I'll give you this program as well, so you don't need to copy paste anything. Now here one thing you need to understand, we have sentinels running, okay, and since now I'm accessing this Docker container from outside this server, okay, so in order to access this from outside the server, I'm going to use you can call it as public IP address. So I'm going to use this IP address, okay. This is just for your understanding. So here you can see this IP address and this port is basically for Sentinel-1, and now the IP address is same, however port is different, okay. Port is 26380. This is for Sentinel number 2, and port number 26381 is for Sentinel number 3. So I'm going to go back to this documentation again, and here you can see, if you remember, these are the commands which we executed to run Sentinel 1, 2 and 3. So here you can see in the port mapping, for first Sentinel we have given 26379, for second Sentinel we have given 26380, and for third Sentinel we have given 26381. So this is the same port information which I am giving here in the Python program as well. However, this public IP is going to be same because eventually I have created all these Docker nodes on a single server. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to connect to the host server on which we have created the Docker containers, and then I'm asking this host server to connect me on this port. Okay, so this port is basically is responsible for, you can say, Sentinel-1. Okay, now we are going to run it, and here you can see we have got some error. Okay, so I know the error is coming here because you can see here I have done some mapping stuff here. I'm just going to replace it because I know the IP addresses of master and replica is starting from 178.18. okay, previously while testing it was a different IP, so I had created this program. Okay, so here you can see now we know that IP address 172.18.0.2 is for which container? It is for master container, right? We can go to this, we can go here, and here you can see this IP address is of master container. Now if you want to access master container from outside of this host machine, in that case we have to reach using the public IP address which is going to be 192.168.43.19 in this case, right? Here you can see even for Sentinel also my IP address is same. However, only the port information is changing. So basically I'm asking Sentinel that if you get reply like this, if you get this IP address, so map it to port 6379. If you get this IP address, map it to 6380. If you get this output, map it to 6381. I think you'll be able to understand it little better once you practice this by installing Docker containers on a by installing Redis on a Docker container. So I'm going to run it again, and this time you can see we have not got any error, everything has executed properly. Now I'm going to run master connection.ping. This also gave us a reply of true, it means this is executed properly. Now here I'm going to update a key which is called age, and then I'm going to just put some number here, and here you can see we have got a response of true, which means this information has been written. Now we are going to write age again to get this information back from Redis. Here you can see we have got the information back. Now we do want to verify it from CLI as well, so I'm just going to write Redis connect to Redis using CLI, and then write keys star. Here you can see we have age information here, right? Now you can do get age, and here you can see that we have got the same information here, which means using Python program as well we are able to connect to Docker containers using Sentinel as the entry point. So basically in this program what is happening is, let me quickly summarize, because now we are using Sentinel, right, to monitor Redis and to monitor whether the high availability or stuff like that. Okay, so whenever we are going to interact with Redis, we are not sure of which node is going to be the Redis master right now, because if let's say the primary Redis master crashes, Redis Sentinel is going to change, going to promote any other available slave to master. Okay, so first level you are always going to connect to Redis Sentinel, and then with the help of Sentinel you are going to get the information of recent master by running something like this, and then using that information you are going to connect to Redis. Okay, so this is how it works. Now let me do one thing. Let's perform some failover. So what I will do is, this is I'm going to stop Redis master. Okay, so I'm going to write docker container stop Redis master. So here you can see Redis master is stopped. Now here in the Sentinel we are going to see some entries which is going to tell us that it is basically it is able to detect that current master is down, and then it is going to promote any of the available slave to master. So we are waiting for that event to appear here. Again, it does take some time. You can put those information about how long it needs to wait and stuff like that in the Redis configuration file, but usually it takes like 10 seconds or so. So here you can see it has already detected that master has gone down. Okay, and then it is saying promoting slave to master. So here you can see promoting slave is this, and it is promoting it to master. So same information you will be able to see here as well. Okay, so now our new master is this one. So switch master has happened. Here you can see previous master was ending with 0.2 IP address. Now that on that IP address we have stopped Redis services. So now new master is 172.18.0.3. Okay, here you can see we had IP addresses of everything. So this one Redis Replica 1, which had IP address of 172.18.0.3, this has now become new master. And if we want to connect here, we can do redis-cli, we can do 172.18.0.3, and connection is refused because we have not wrote -h. Now you can do key star. Here you can see we are able to connect. Now let's put let me write something by writing gender information, and here you can see now this replica is allowing us to write information because this is no longer a replica, this has become a master. Now let's go back to our Python program, and here you will notice I don't really need to change anything in the Python program. I'm just going to run it, and here you can see it now already giving me information about the new available master, which is 172.18.0.3, and I can ping it, yes, and we can write some other information like favorite movie, and let's put some movie name here. You can see we are getting true, and then we can read this information, and here you can see we are getting the output. Now I'm going to go to Redis CLI, going to do keys star again. Here you can see favorite movie is appearing here. Okay, so it means now failover is working properly. Now let's do one thing. We are going to bring back Redis master. So I'm gonna do Redis container start Redis master. Now guys, notice one thing. This, even though this node we have named it as Redis master, however now a replica node has become a Redis master. So now when this node comes up, this node is no longer going to be a master. This is going to become a replica node for a new master, which is this one, right, which is ending with 0.3. So I'm just going to hit enter, and this container has started. Now let's see what is coming here. Here you can see an entry of -s down. So what is the meaning of -s down? So let's go here. You can read here. -s down means the specified instance is no longer in down state. Okay, so let's go here, and it is telling you that this slave, which was basically previously master and now has become slave, this is now no longer in down state. Okay, so this has come up, and now it is a replica of this new master, which is basically our new master. Okay, so here you can see we have performed failover, and then we have performed restoration as well. Now everything will continue to work as it is. You can connect to any of the node using Redis-CLI. Again, I think I don't want to go and keep on explaining the same thing, but yeah, I think you understood the point. So if you have any question, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you so much for watching. Hey there, I hope all of you are doing great. So in this video, we are going to learn about Redis Insight. So Redis Insight is a free GUI for Redis that is available on almost all the platforms. It lets you connect to Redis and it lets you do the things using GUI. In all the previous tutorials, mostly we connected to Redis using CLI based client and we performed a lot of configuration activity, or we write or read the data using CLI, command line interface. And we also interacted with Redis using Python. So those were the two methods which we discussed previously. But let's say if you are not comfortable with any of those two methods, you can always go ahead and use Redis Insight. So in order to install Redis Insight, here are the steps which has been mentioned here. So again, depending on where you want to install Redis Insight, you can go to the available documentation. Now in this case, I'm just going to install Redis on Docker. So I'm going to copy this command and I'm going to run it here on the server, and I'm going to run it in detached mode. So after I run, I'm going to add -d, and that's all. And we can, in fact, let's do one thing. Let's also give a name. So I'm going to call it Redis Insight. Okay, so this is the command which I'm going to run, and now you can see it has started run. So in order to see the logs, we can do docker logs --follow and name of the container. So name of the container is Redis Insight. So here you can see right now there is no log to see, so that's fine. But we know that we can access Redis Insight on port 8001, and that information is available here. You can see that Redis Insight is listening on port 8001. So let me connect to this server using IP address which is 192.168.0.19 and port is 8001. Now let's go ahead and start adding Redis database here. So we already have a Redis database running right here. You can see let's go to the server and let's open one more console and we will just verify Redis CLI again. Here you can see we have Redis and we have so many keys also already available here. So it means we can connect to, we already have a database, so we can directly connect to that Redis database. Now it is asking connect to a Redis database. So we are going to select connect to a Redis database. However, if you want or you have a Redis Cloud Pro database, you can connect to that as well. If you have Redis Enterprise cluster, you can connect to that as well. Or if you have AWS Elastic Cache database, you can connect to that as well. But in this lesson, we are going to connect to a Redis database. Now here we need to provide IP address of the server where Redis is hosted. So we know the IP address is 192.168.0.19 and Redis port is 6379, and here you can provide any logical names. I'm going to call it my Redis database. Username and password is not required in this case because we have not enabled authentication. Now click on add Redis database and here you can see a connection has been added. You can click here and it will take you to this Redis Insight graphical user interface. Now here you can see it has already pulled some information about your Redis database instance. So here you can see it is telling you that we currently have 61 total keys and we have 1 connected clients. We have 4 connections received, we have 0 connection rejected, and this is the hit ratio, this is the uptime. So you can already see on the overview section there is quite a lot of information available. Now here it is also showing you command which is executed per second, number of connected clients, used memory consumption, network input, network output, and total keys. Right now if you see we don't really see a lot of things going on here. That is because we are not writing any information to Redis, but in real time when a lot of clients are connected to Redis, in that case you are going to see these values changing a lot, okay, depending on the read and write operation which is being done. So now let's go and look at some of the other option available in Redis Insight. So on the left hand side you can go and see browser. So you can use browser to browse to all the different databases or different keys which you have available in Redis. So here you can see these are all the keys which I have available. If I want to see any specific key, I can always go on and do, for example, here you can see I did girl star. It means it is only going to give me the key which is matching this pattern, so which is girl names. If I click here, you can see this is basically a set data type and it is having all the members, and members are basically name of the girls, top 1000 names of the girls. Okay, so that is the information which we have here. Now if we want to see the same information, we can do that using Redis CLI as well. Here you can see we were typically doing something like this. Okay, so here you can see this is the keys which it was producing. So that is similar which is happening here using graphical user interface. Now if you are clicking here, it is showing you all the names. So basically that is equal to the operation which we perform here. So let's do s members, and then we can do girls names. Okay, so here you can see all the girls names. So that is what is happening here as well. And again, if you want to add more keys, you can do that as well. Here you can see there is an option of adding keys. So for example, let me add a key which is called string, and I'm going to add gender, going to call it male. Click on add. Now we have added a more key, which is a new key which is called gender. Okay, so let me remove this filter, let me refresh it, and here you will see somewhere our new key is available here. Now if we go to Redis CLI, and let me clear the screen here, if I do get gender, you can see we have got the value here. So basically you can also do these operation of adding key and value from a graphical interface as well. Now one good thing here is, while you are interacting using graphical user interface, but if you want to switch to a command line interface, you can do that as well without even needing to make a SSH connection to the server. So here you can see in the CLI we have interface which lets us write CLI commands to connect to Redis and perform operations. So for example, I can do set name Vikas, and here you can see we are able to write the value here. If we want to get the output back, we can do this as well. Okay, so this is quite similar to the CLI which we use by making a SSH connection. Now we have some information about streams, Redis graph and other stuff which we have not really learned so far, so we are not going to use or explore those options as of now. Next option which we are going to explore is called Analyze. So you can go to the Analyze section on the left hand side and click on Overview. So once you click on Overview, it is going to basically let you know that if you want to analyze, you can click on Analyze Now. So I'm going to click on Analyze Now. And then we want to analyze on online database, or whether we want to analyze on offline database. Okay, so if you want to do offline analysis, then you have to provide the information of RDB backup file. But since we want to do it on online database, so we are going to select online analysis, click on proceed. And here you can see it is telling you that if you are doing it on online database, then it is going to basically give some performance impact, but that's fine. We want to click on analyze, and we are going to see that it is giving us information about memory breakup by data type. So here you can see most of our data is a set, then we have some of our data which is Redis hash, and we have some data which is Redis string as well. Okay, so this is just giving some breakup. Again, this is giving number of keys by data type information. And here you can see memory likely to be freed over time. We do not have any memory which is going to be free, because all the information or all the keys which we have written, those are set to no expiry. So here you can see all the information is being shown here under no expiry. Okay, so we do not have anything which is going to expire in, let's say, in next 7 days. If something is going to expire in next 7 days, it is going to show those information here. Now we can go to key space memory. Here you can see under the key space memory we have information about all the keys which has been stored here, and then there is information about total memory, total keys, top keys, and so on. So this is going to help you a lot when you have like millions and probably billions of keys. It is going to give you information about all the keys. Then in the recommendation, we have recommendation available here as well. So here you can see it is giving us some recommendation by saying that we have a lot of string values stored in sets. So it is giving us a recommendation that rather than storing strings, we should be using integer in sets in order to enhance the performance. So again, that is an application call which you can take. But yeah, here in the recommendation, you are going to see all the recommendation provided by Redis Insights. Now we can click on memory analyzer. So once you click on memory analyzer, it is going to give you information about all the key which has been saved, amount of memory which it has consumed, data type information, size and length, encoding, expiry, and some other useful information. Okay. Now we can click on profiler. So again, let's do some profiling here. And here you can see, so once we start profiling, basically it is going to see all the commands which has been sent by clients, different clients. And then once we do stop profiling, it is going to give us those information that what is the kind of commands which has been sent by clients, how many clients are connected, and so on. Okay, so that can give you information of the type of queries which has been running on Redis in any particular time. So currently we do not have any clients connected to our Redis database, so we do not see much information here. But you can run, maybe you can create a Python program which can write some data to consistently to Redis, and at that point of time you can run this profiler again. Now we have some info. We have a section which is called bulk actions. So under bulk actions we have things like renaming keys, deleting keys, set expiry, removing expiry, and then there are some export options available. For example, if we want to export all the data which is available in Redis database, we can export that in one of these formats. We can export that in JSON, AOF, or RDB. So you can typically use RDB option when you want to, let's say, create a new Redis instance and you want to restore all the data which is available in this instance on another newly created instance. So in that case you can export the data as RDB, and then you can again provide the information here about the keys which you want to export, and then you can click on export. Now I'm going to show you by selecting as JSON. So I'm going to select as JSON, click on next. Here that's fine, we want to export everything, so I just put in the find keys we have put star, and then now it is exporting everything. Here you can see the exported information or exported file has been downloaded. Now if you want to open that file, you can go ahead and open that file as well. It is basically containing all the data which we have in Redis. So again you can see there are quite a lot of useful information here. So if you want to restore, you can also restore the data using RDB. So here you can see you can take backup using export as RDB, and then once you move that RDB file to the new machine, on the new machine you log into Redis Insight and then you restore that using RDB. So that's how you can do like failover or restoration as well using Redis CLI. Using Redis Insight. So now here in the database you can see we can click on configuration, and it is giving you a Redis database configuration which has been set in the redis.conf file. So here also you can modify some of the things if you want. For example, here you can see timeout has been set to 0. Let's say if I want to change the timeout to maybe 200, and click on save it and click on apply configuration changes, click on apply. Now this timeout has been updated. So similarly, if you want to modify some of information in redis.conf file, you can do that same thing from here under database configuration. And here again we have something called client list. Here you can see number of client which has been connected to this Redis database. So right now this is the information which we have here. That's all basically which is available here. Again, under the settings there are some other this is not really much to do with Redis, but yeah. So I have given you information about Redis Insight and how to use Redis Insight, different options available here. Now only thing which we have not gone through in this video is related to streams, Redis graph, Redis gears, Redis AI, Redis time series, and Redis search. So probably this is going to be covered in another upcoming tutorial which is going to be little advanced level or intermediate to advanced level. So since this is only for beginners, I think this much content is enough at this point of time. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any question, if you have any suggestion, please feel free to write the comment and I'll be more than happy to answer those. Thank you so much for watching.